Baby, let me take you for a ride. It's crazy that we on the same vibe. I really wanna try to stay on the same side. So can you stay tonight, just so we do it right? Yeah.
All right, so we're
Yeah, so
I know you wanted to start with something, but before we do start,
yes,
officially, you know.
yes, sir.
Hello?
And just yeah.
How are you?
Don't just knock it down like a cowboy.
Well, you gotta throw it away.
Yeah, bro, that video is so crazy. We just looked it up a little bit ago.
Yeah, no
and
one's
just
gonna
to,
understand what the hell we're talking about.
But if you look up
Hello.
how to drink whiskey
How
on
are you?
YouTube, you'll find a British guy,
Very good.
and it's worth a watch. If you're gonna
Thanks
drink
for
whiskey, if you're gonna like look into
If you want to
it,
learn how to drink whiskey,
yeah, that's where you start. Start on YouTube, Google that, and then you'll find this British guy. Clearly,
it'll show you the right way how to drink
in his
whiskey.
basement. He's in his basement just doing his thing. But cheers, brother. Knock his back like a cowboy. Oh, mine's already gone.
Then swallow.
Look it up, and then it'll make more sense. Yeah, it is crazy that I feel like a lot of that stuff, like just a tangent, it's all lost on us, So I kind of appreciate that guy kind of giving
There's
You know what
tons
I'm
of
saying?
like etiquette and stuff
Yeah.
that us plebeians, the regular
Mm-hmm.
people, don't indulge in because we don't have the fucking time.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, but there's tons of things like like proper food,
There's
the food
there's
plates,
a channel
the forks
with
and
this
stuff.
incredibly British guy, and all
Yeah.
he does is talk about etiquette.
Mm,
And like there was one like how to eat peas.
no way.
Yeah, and he's like, you take your knife always in your left hand or whatever. You put it down on the plate. You don't just scoop your peas. That's uncouth. But what you do, you take your fork, you flip it upside down, and then you skewer the peas while holding them in place with the knife.
What?
Yeah, so you put your knife, like you scoop your peas into a pile on your plate, put your knife down so that makes a wall, and you skewer your peas against that, and then you eat them. That's the correct way to eat peas.
Is it?
Oh yeah, that's something else we can pull up. He's got all kinds of like British etiquette for eating food.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was just at a wedding recently, and they got like all the forks and the knives all set up in a certain way, and like there's like one for eating your salad.
This guy right
This guy?
here. God, I don't know what his name is.
Nonsense.
Yeah, William Hanson etiquette.
Is there something of an olive that you can't eat?
The pit? Well, the olives that we're used to have been hollowed out with like something else put in, but there's a pit.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So
Damn, this guy is way richer than me.
no, I do not exist like even like on the remotely the same dimension that his tax bracket's on.
Yeah.
And he is incredibly British.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that guy pays more taxes than we make.
no, he's rich. He doesn't pay taxes.
That's a good topic, too. We can bring that up later.
Living off of debt and how you're not rich enough to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is
Anyway.
crazy. Like, rich people
Actually, where's his
live...
Instagram? I saw his Instagram. He probably has more videos on that than on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah, like
this is a weird tangent we ended up on.
it is
already.
weird, but like, yeah, we fell into a rabbit hole. You and I, we talked about this a lot, like off the podcast, about how rich people do not have anything really because everything's in debt.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have some kind of cash flow. Obviously, you have to own some businesses, to make sense of all the debt. But like when you have the debt, like such as a house.
Well, yeah, when you have a very successful business, you can use the business to pay off like the loans that you're personally using because you don't pay taxes on debt and loans are debt.
Yeah.
And then like you have your businesses pay it, and that is a business expense,
Which like cancels out the taxes.
means that your business pays less taxes.
Yeah.
It's a whole system, and you're just
Yeah.
not rich enough to play on that field.
Yeah. And like the idea, I guess, would be is that like you don't actually have any money. So like, who was the person that we were just talking about?
Jeff Bezos, and he's got like $1.7 million or something like that. It's his annual income, his taxable income.
Yeah,
which his house is 170 million or 117 million, and it's like he didn't save his 1.7 million for 100 years to get it. It's all debt,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like backed by his businesses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his stocks, his value.
Yeah. Exactly.
They borrow against their value, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like if you didn't.
I don't want William Hanson. I want William Hanson's.
Yeah. So like if you don't like take a big income, then you don't have to make. And I'm sure that 1.7 is like under the perfect tax bracket. You know, like there's probably math accorded to like exactly how much he takes home.
Yeah.
That like makes the most sense. You know?
Yeah, he's got an
find
accountant
somewhere in the
who,
middle.
has studied their entire life how to
Yeah.
take advantage of every tax loophole possible.
Yeah.
Well, it depends.
Just another one.
If you have helped yourself to food from communal dishes down the center of the table, or perhaps at a buffet, then yes, you do need to finish everything that you have taken for yourself. However, if someone else has served you,
I actually agree with this, though.
at home or in a restaurant, then you want to try and eat as much as you can. But if you're full to bursting, then just leave whatever you can't eat neatly on the edge of your plate. Just finish everything.
Dude.
This guy is so British. It's
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little nuts, all right? It's a little much.
how to eat like an eggs Benedict. Oh, eggs and soldiers is what they call it in Britain, I guess.
This is not Eggs Benedict.
Place the teaspoon down, and then using the tip of your knife, cut into the top.
Dude, there's just eggshells all over his plate.
Use your teaspoon to help take the top off. So be it.
So be it.
Then pick up your soldier, toasted or untoasted, depending on your preference. Dunk in and eat.
Okay. I'm feeling poor by the minute. I
Oh,
don't.
you haven't even seen him eat grapes. You need your grape scissors.
Oh, grape scissors. Okay.
Grapes, don't pick up the bunch and pull off one grape at a time. Instead, potentially using grape scissors. Cut yourself a small helping, and then pick them off one by one. When helping yourself to grapes,
Dude. What the fuck? I'm feeling so poor. This is not how we should have started the podcast.
We weren't even planning on this. We were
I
going to talk
know.
about Goodwood.
This is fucked up. I feel so poor now. Thank you, rich people. Appreciate it. You know, it's humbling. You need it. You need a little slice of humble pie.
When you've got nothing better to do but invent superfluous rules that dictate every aspect of your behavior,
Yeah.
that's how you know you've made it.
Where do you think all that started? Where do you think like this there's a point in which like we were civilized and like let's not get to like that, like we don't have to go that far back, but there was a point where we got civilized. It must have been like the Industrial Revolution. People started making
it
some
was
money.
even before that, I think.
You think so? That
No,
people were
I think
like-
it's a class thing. So like you
Okay.
go back to like medieval times where you have the haves and the have-not. Actually, you probably go back even farther,
Ooh,
honestly.
That's fair.
But I think the etiquette that we now know probably stems from like nobility. So I guess that's kind of an offshoot from medieval times and what that evolved in.
But I thought that
too,
was like
but,
medieval times. I would just imagine with like it's like mutton. It's like just eating right off the leg of the turkey leg.
Yeah,
You know?
probably not medieval, but it probably like would have gotten its roots in there, and then gradually over time, like once we reach like I guess a Victorian era.
The post-evil.
Victorian is definitely where we had a lot of rules.
Right.
Like when you think Victorian, you just think like
Exactly.
stodgy, uptight.
Yeah.
I mean that.
But right, that's exactly
Yeah.
it. But you nailed it. So like I wonder at that time, where like did like I wonder who though was the person to be like no. we've got to come up with a whole new way of eating. And we're
Etiquette
gonna-
is what separates us from the animals.
Yes.
And by animals, I mean
Ooh.
pores.
And let them eat cake, which I think was on our podcast before.
Let Them Eat Cake was...
But yeah, so
I cannot remember her name, but she was the queen of
Uh-huh.
France.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the context behind that, though? Like the whole Let Them Eat Cake?
Yeah,
where that
because I
came
think
from?
you told me about it on the podcast.
Maybe.
It definitely came up. Because I remember this.
Yeah, you know,
'cause-
they're all starving and whatever, and, you know, the queen wife, whatever her, Antoinette. I
Yeah, because
believe.
they're not talking about birthday cake. They're not talking
No,
about the
they
cake.
are talking about cake, but you know, she's
But, like,
just
back
you know,
then, it
she's
was
told
different.
like they're riding because they're hungry. She's like, oh, we'll let them eat cake. It's like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't want fucking cake. We want livable conditions.
Yeah,
And well, yeah, that ended with the guillotine.
yeah.
So, but yeah, like I think it would be Victorian eras where like all of the fiddly little rules and
Yeah.
etiquette really came into its own.
Yeah.
And I think it really was just a way to distinguish yourself
Yeah.
from like the pores. The
Mhm.
pores aren't classy and uncultured.
Yeah. Dude, and now, like, I don't think they even teach cursive in school.
No. And to be fair, like I can write my signature in cursive.
Yeah.
That's about it.
No, I could throw down on some cursive. I think I'm pretty good.
Like I remember most of the letters. I just haven't practiced it in so long that like if you asked me to write cursive, it would take me easily 20 times longer to write anything. In fact, I remember by high school I had like completely stopped using cursive at all because high school they definitely didn't teach it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to have learned it before then, but like they didn't require it in any way. And I remember I took the SATs. Did you take the SATs in high school? It was optional.
I think everybody had to take the PSATs. I think so.
No.
I thought in school they made me take the PSATs because they wanted to like show you.
I didn't
thought-
take the PSAT at all.
Okay.
They offered the SAT for free to, you know, it was optional, but you could opt in. And I remember my parents made me take it. And I remember fighting them over it because I was like, I'm not going to go to college. Why do I need to take the SATs?
Yeah.
They're like, you're taking the SATs.
Yeah.
So whatever, I took it. But when we sat down to take the SATs, there was, you know, like you have to fill out like your name and all that, you know, your information, blah, blah, blah. And then you had to
800
write.
points.
Yeah. You did get points off if you fucked up filling out your name. I remember that.
Yeah.
But you had to write this this statement that was basically like, you know, I will not cheat, you know, do my best, blah, blah, blah. But they made you write it out. They didn't just have you sign it. They made you write it out, and they made you write it in cursive. And I was sitting there like, that was the hardest part of the test. Like, fuck, I haven't written cursive in years.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, and so the whole idea of cursive was supposed to be like a way of writing faster.
yeah. But I think it got caught up in the whole etiquette thing where they made it superfluously, like, overcomplicated.
I mean, maybe.
Like, it probably started out as like, yeah, if you just never have to pick up your pen, it's faster. But they were
Right.
like, well, this is the right way to do it.
Yeah,
And you need
so
to have this flourish and this shape. And this.
isn't that everything though? Isn't that everything?
I think they took it to an extreme.
well in school. In
Well,
school.
just like cursive in general. Like, I bet if you go to cursive's origin, it was basic regular writing, but connected. And they're like, well, you know, if we're going to be high class about it.
Well, no. So I have an S in my middle name. So
Same.
like that's the yes, and your last name, actually.
yes.
Yeah.
And,
so you got
when-
two.
in my signature, it's never fully formed. It's just a fuck.
Well, so like an S in cursive is closer to like the and symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I just, and what you're saying with like them making it overcomplicated and like whatever, but I just feel like it's not like I don't think cursive. I wouldn't think that cursive just started out by like people just being like.
Well, like you said, it
almost,
was
like-
originally meant to be a utility. It's meant to be faster.
Yeah, but I think that like.
So it has utilitarian roots.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like maybe like cursive wasn't like cursive. They didn't just. No one sat down and was like, okay, this is the cursive.
When it
cursive
got
alphabet.
formalized, it became a
Right.
higher class kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
let me give you another example, and I could be completely wrong.
I think
I'm
you're right. No,
Literally
I
just
think
making
you're
this
right.
up, but
Yeah.
let's go back to the time where literacy wasn't super widespread, like beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Who do you think knows cursive? Versus who
Don't
do you
make-
think knows just enough?
Don't make me say this.
Versus who knows just enough writing to be like, you know, someone who works on a dock and like keeps track of who's coming to port and who has to like pay fees. Like they might know enough Scratch to like be legible, and then you go to cursive and you go to the highly educated, high class people who are literate.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're trying to narrow down like a realistic example of like how
cursive went from something utilitarian to something for the high class.
Yeah.
And generally, like the people who would be writing when writing was being developed would have been the high class, rich, educated. So it's going to have, the same vibe, for lack of a better term, as all these useless etiquettes around using grape scissors or using a special knife to crack open your eggs for your eggs and soldiers.
Yeah, but for better or worse, like the topic of cursive, like no matter how it was created or how poorly it was distributed back in the day, between I would probably say like the 70s to the probably mid 90s, like cursive was like a big deal.
Oh no, it would have been a lot further back than that. Like,
well, no, but I just mean that as far as in the way that like it made the most impact, right? Mm-hmm. So but what I'm saying is that like during those times, like that was something that was standard.
Well, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that it goes back much further than.
Oh, 100%.
You go back to like the early 1900s.
Well,
you go back to the early 1900s with the Industrial Revolution really taking root here in the U.S.
Cursive.
And that's when we start like
no one wrote.
Education starts getting widespread in our population to people of all classes.
Yeah.
1920s, 30s, 40s, and it proliferates even more. So
by
the 50s, when we were really prosperous and everyone's getting educated, like everyone knows cursive.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone.
Yeah.
It's not until like the 2000s that it really starts falling off a cliff. So I don't disagree with you. I just think it goes back further than the
definitely.
1970s. Yeah. Is all I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying that I just think that it meant a lot in those times where, like, I feel like back in, the times you're talking about, like, it didn't mean that much because it was, like, nothing, right?
It was the standard.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So by the 1970s, 80s, it's, like, kind of becoming special that you still are fluent in cursive.
Yes, and important things were done in that way.
Yeah.
And so I kind of hold that like a little like sacred. Like for instance, like my mom has really good cursive, and I'm jealous.
Oh, dude, my dad's my dad's signature. I'm like, man, if you were a celebrity, you have like the perfect signature for merchandise.
Yeah.
And I, one time I asked him to write my name because my signature's fucking dog water.
It's a tough name.
And no, he writes it and it looks great. And I'm like, shit,
fuck. It is just me.
It's just me. But I've always had terrible handwriting.
Yeah.
Except I've actually seen, like, when my dad can write in cursive, but he mostly writes in, like, regular print.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen there's no doubt in my mind that I am my dad's son. Like, zero doubt that there's any chance at all. I have his personality. I have, like, his eyebrows, his nose, like... It's very clear.
Yeah.
But our handwriting is similar.
Yeah.
Mine is just like the shittier version of his handwriting.
Oh, shit.
But if I slow down and neaten it up, it looks very similar to his.
Yeah.
And he's not the one who like taught me how to write.
Yeah.
I learned that in like school, and my parents did, obviously.
Yeah.
Teach me a bit. My mom's a daycare teacher, so I had a bit of a head start.
Yeah.
I remember having flashcards and like my mom making games, educational games for me as a kid.
Yeah.
Very young kid, but the point I'm getting at is my dad was not the primary source of me learning how to write, but my handwriting matches his.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of weird, like, little things. It's like, there's 110% I'm my dad's son.
You all your daddy's son.
Yes. There's no parental, like, DNA test needed. Although I do have DNA proof as well. We all did the whole
oh, yeah, we talked about this on the podcast,
ancestry
too.
thing.
Yeah.
And, BlackRock is buying Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
So my DNA is now BlackRock's DNA.
Yeah, you're going to have a clone running around.
Good. There needs to be more.
Committing crimes.
I am, like, a great person.
I know. I love that. That was your argument. That you're like, you have full confidence in that your DNA would just be the best version of you.
One of my coworkers was kind of into conspiracy theories, and he's like, you did that? Like, they're going to have clones of you and shit. I'm like, good. There needs to be more of me. I'm great.
Yeah. And one of them has like the same podcast.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
had multiple bosses and managers go like, I need like 5 more of you. And, you know, like we'd be set.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
It's like,
You know,
yeah,
you
what
want
are
to clone
paying?
me? You want to clone me? Yeah, good. I agree. There needs to be more of me.
Yeah, you just need a little commission off of it.
But
you know?
anyway, the whole point of that is like we did the AncestryDNA.com thing, and like, you know, they like email you every time you have a DNA match, and we didn't connect our accounts. You know, we didn't actually like do the thing where you build your family tree, but like I like right after we all submitted our shit and like made our profiles, it was immediately like, you have a DNA match, 50%, and it was my dad.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do have DNA proof right there without
Yeah.
that, but it was
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah, it is crazy. Just like cursive and like how that's just gone away.
Yeah, we got off topic.
Yeah. No, we totally did. But it was a fun tinge. But yeah, I'm bringing it for that. Bringing it for that. Bringing it for that. Bringing it for that.
We didn't water it down.
Yeah, so it burned a lot. My mouth hurts. Jesus.
It's not that bad.
Well, I mean, when you swish it, I swished it.
You did.
I swished it. I thought that's what you're supposed to do.
Is that what he did? I thought he was just like
I think so.
just letting it
We
rest
gotta
on
pull
the
it up and
palate.
let the people know.
Might as
We've
well.
talked
We're
about it.
referencing this thing a lot,
We
and they're
talked
not going
about
to
it
have any
far
clue
too
what we're
much.
talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a shame that we lost cursive.
Yeah,
it seems.
it doesn't have much practical. Personally, I think the typewriter killed it.
No. You think so?
Yeah, because you know cursive doesn't work that well on a keyboard because
Dude, but that's
it's
what we were
contextual
just-
how the
what we
letters
were just-
connect,
What
right?
we were just talking about was the fact that, like, even so, the first typewriter was like in the very, very early 1900s. Rich people had those, and I would probably guess to say they didn't really want to use them. Like, if they were like to type something out or like formal, they'd rather be like writing
Just
it
write
in
it.
cursive. Yeah,
Sure.
because it means a lot.
Yeah,
and even
but it's not the rich people. It's business, industry.
oh, there he is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
business and industry. And, you know, as we became more industrialized and that became a bigger part of everyday life, everything's being written on typewriters.
Oh, you're right. You're
so
definitely right.
people read
Yeah.
print more.
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
become more used to that. And then, you know,
Yeah.
with the age of the internet, again, the 90s
Yeah.
is when cursive really fucking fell off. Everything's
Dude,
print.
you're so right. Yeah, you're so right. Because I know, like, in the military is a good example of, like, those documents being really important. And you can find, like, typed documents
Yeah, it's
in,
all
like,
typewriters.
1918, you know, from, like, the
World
first
War I.
World War. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I
Man,
think
it's crazy the little evolutions we've just kind of...
yeah, we're just kind
Right
of
there.
walking through it. And I'm sure this is common knowledge for somebody in
Uh-huh.
some niche field of, like, study.
Mhm.
But it's fun to just kind of work it through yourself.
Yeah. So just fast forward, like, 30 minutes. If you've already made it here, just hit
If
another,
you've studied the
hit another
history
20
of,
minutes.
if you're a linguist and you've studied the written word and that's like your forte, this is nothing for you. In fact, you're laughing at us right now.
Yeah.
But
It'd be really funny if, like, post the podcast, I just made videos, like, before we got into a topic. I'm like, listen, you not like talking about cursive? Cool. Okay, skip 35
Well, this is
minutes
what I was
ahead.
talking to you
Because
about,
we talked 35 minutes about cursive.
this is what I was talking to you earlier about, like putting chapters in on YouTube. But
Yeah. I'll get there. I don't
yeah,
know.
we'll figure it out.
It's work. It's work. It's hard.
This isn't easy. Well, 25 minutes, not 30
All
minutes.
right. Well, you know, decent amount of time. But it's been fun. So, what you got then? Don't knock it back like a cowboy. Here, like, speed it up to, like, the good parts.
Let's do
Bring in the chat in.
pour it into the glass.
Here it is.
Swish it around.
Said to you before, throw it out. Perhaps the glass. And then you go back to it quite well.
Oh, yeah.
Then you go back
Hang on,
around,
yeah.
bring it up and say hello. Then you go back to it. How are you? And then you go back to it.
Quite well.
Thank you very much. Now remember, get into it. Don't go like this. Right into it. Make sure that you're actually examining every part of that. How do you taste it? Don't knock it back like a cowboy.
don't knock it back like a cowboy.
Yeah, we got to get the water.
Yeah.
And I'm not drinking unless you put your finger in it.
Yes, yeah. You didn't get to that part.
Yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah.
What you need to do is to pick up a jug with your finger in the water.
It's important.
Because you want to test it.
You don't want hot water. That's what he's saying. Hot water ruins it. But you put it in there till you water it down to about 35%, and then you drink it, and it doesn't burn. And you, where's the part where he drinks it and he doesn't
In the palate, in the mouth.
See, he's
Oh,
swishing
he is
that.
swishing it around. Okay.
And let it go down. Absolutely fantastic. Even
I can confirm.
added water would happen. This is what would happen.
That's what would happen, everyone.
Rummaging, it would start changing because it was affecting the taste buds and anesthetizing them.
All right.
So rewind back and see if my face did the same. Because I just swished it, no fucking water.
Well, here's the thing. If you use a small amount of water, and we learned this with Doug,
Doug, that was awesome.
a small amount of
Love you,
water, it
Doug.
brings out like the spice, which kind of makes it more intense.
Yeah.
But if you put enough water in, then it mellows it back out.
No. So I think...
It
No,
made
because-
it made the flavors more.
Yeah. And I think that it also less intensified the whiskey.
The alcohol burn?
Yeah.
No, because
yeah.
that wasn't enough to mellow it out.
I think,
to mellow
I think,
out the alcohol.
I think it was, and we only had a little bit.
Well, literally a couple drops.
Yeah. No, I just mean like we only had a little bit of that one. Remember? So like we only...
That was the extra smoky one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we only had one glass of it.
Well, he had a
then
smoky
we-
one, he had monkey shoulder, and he had a spicy one, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Like we tried all three, and then we were like monkey.
Yeah, which
And then we kept having the
is the
monkey
most
shoulder.
like vanilla, bland, like easy to get into.
Yeah.
And I'm no whiskey connoisseur, so I have no issue. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take the least offensive one.
Show the fam the shoulder.
Oh yeah, we got the big bitch now.
Yeah, look at that thing. and then just for
Oh, yeah,
comparison,
yeah, for reference, here's the
Yes.
other one that we've killed.
yeah,
Hang on.
a little lower. Yep, perfect.
Yeah. So we're set.
So that's how big of a fan we are of the.
And again, I
Of the
will
old
acknowledge
shoulder.
to any of the whiskey connoisseurs out there, yeah, it's basic bitch shit. But
yeah,
I'm
but
a
I
basic
mean,
bitch.
Yeah, I mean 100%, and like I know what you're saying. Like it's not like a complex whiskey, you know.
Yeah,
and like, that's like
it's the
how
easiest
Doug
to get
sold it
into.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to try to get into whiskey, it's a great place to start. Because
Yeah.
like, I'm one of those people that never liked alcohol for the flavor. I drank to get drunk.
Yeah, 100%, dude. So small tangent, but I'm just gonna like if Doug's listening, his boys like they go hard, and that's how like Doug was able to come on here and like be like a connoisseur. But like he was telling me after the fact, he's like, dude, I was like, I like it's like you gotta meet my friend, who's they have like a whole whiskey cabinet. You know, and they have like whiskey nights where like everybody brings a bottle.
Yeah, I remember. He was talking about that on the podcast.
Yeah, actually, yeah, maybe he was. Yeah. So but those guys, like, if they had a podcast of like just doing whiskeys, I mean, and they already have it. They have the arsenal. Like,
Yeah.
he showed me a picture of like all the stuff they have. It would be like there's enough there to go through a tasting and to like talk about it.
Yeah.
And like for every bottle, that's a podcast. Like that's such a cool, fun idea. You know. To like just kind of like go through, have a glass, and so speaking of that, I guess you ever seen the Oil and Whiskey podcast?
No.
Dude, that's a good one. So that's this is such a shame that I don't know, but dude, they build cars. So these
While
two
drinking.
no.
Oh, there was a
no,
reel.
no.
I don't know if I sent it to you or if you sent it to me.
So
but-
give it a. Can you put it in YouTube? I think it's on YouTube.
I mean, you're the podcast guy. I don't watch podcasts. I shouldn't even be on one.
I am
Oil and whiskey.
So wait, go up. Oh, Roadster Shop. That's what it is. It's Roadster Shop is the. So Roadster Shop, they build like just
Cool
like,
shit.
Yeah, cool ass shit. But they it's more, what do they call the hot rods that like have good brakes and new engines?
Resto mods?
Resto mods. Fuck yeah. So they build. That's what their big thing is. Like they build resto mods.
Whiskey review.
Yeah, and that's what they do. So like every single podcast, they have a new bottle that they bring on. That's kind of their thing. But it's really, I think it's really good. I like their podcast. They're cool guys. Just two brothers doing their thing.
It's just two brothers.
It's just two brothers. And then the Armada shows up,
and then the moon, it crashes into the earth.
And it's just two brothers.
I shouldn't even bother bringing this up on the podcast because it's such a half-formed thought, but there was something I saw that reminded me so much of like interdimensional cable.
Oh, I love it so much already.
But I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, so if anyone's fallen behind, the Rick and Morty episodes of the interdimensional cable, those are like the best episodes. If you want to, I don't know, to me,
they're the best if you don't care about like the long plot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like they're like honestly, like it's such a good idea for a TV show like
it's basically
that.
like it's the same premise as like Robot Chicken or all the cutaways in Family Guy. Just like
it's like it's a similar format.
Random little snippets of shit.
It's a similar format, but I think as a show, that's such a good idea to just give like a rest video, like a rest episode. You know, it's nice.
And they talked about that because at one point when they were at like the Citadel of Rick's or whatever, you know, because they break the fourth wall all the time in that show, and Rick was just like, Citadel episode, those things are like they're fueled on canon, canon lore. It's just so the interdimensional cable, like you said, it's just a rest episode.
Yeah, it's so good. But shout out to the Oil and Whiskey podcast. God forbid they needed it, but
yeah, they're doing better than us, bud.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, that's it's because like they're famous. They're famous for. I think they did a car for Joe Rogan. Like they've done like celebrity cars for tons of people.
The cover off of the string on my sweatpants.
And we've broken the fourth wall to let everyone know that we're not wearing pants. No, yeah, we don't dress up for these things,
bro. I am comfy.
Yeah, dude, I'm in basketball shorts. I'm chilling, chilling. Because you never know when you got a ball on somebody. You never know.
I'm gonna start wearing like, the suit jacket and dress shirt and just be in like board shorts or something.
Dude, we could reframe the whole podcast and just turn it into like black tie.
Yeah, like the report of the week. That guy that's in the suit and he's got like the really slicked hair and he tries all the fast food. And what's the famous one? My disappointment is immeasurable and my day has been ruined.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
I could have like it wouldn't really fit. I keep going to wigs. I'm trying.
Look, man, I am like beyond overdue for a haircut.
Yeah,
you can have a wig from my hair.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, what's the Shining or the Grudge?
Oh, the Grudge. Yeah, it's the Grudge.
Yeah.
My hair's not greasy enough for
that.
We're
getting.
Give me a couple of days though.
We're getting a spooky season.
We are getting a spooky. I could just stop washing my hair.
Yeah. Oh, dude. So small pause in the podcast. I'm not going to bring this up to anybody else because it's my baby picture, but because you brought up spooky season.
Baby pictures?
Dude. So my mom is going through all of our baby pictures. She is developing a crazy amount of film that has been undeveloped for
film that hasn't been developed yet.
Fucking years, bro. Look at me as a ninja.
Oh my god. And your sister's
Dude, and it's a video, but it's a video. My mom is so funny. Bless her heart. She took a video of the photo and sent it.
Not even a live picture.
Yeah,
just
dude,
straight
look
up
at
video.
me, dude. Just fucking killing it. Yeah, all these baby pictures of me. No,
I don't have that many baby
dude,
pictures.
Look at me. Fucking Halloween.
Yeah, I don't have that many baby pictures on my phone, but I do have one baby picture.
I mean, she literally just sent it to us to this in the.
So she's getting these. When's she getting them developed? I had to go to a specialty camera shop for like my
I think
shit.
she did. Yeah.
But I don't have too many baby pictures of me on my phone because my parents went through and like digitized a lot of the pictures early on.
Yeah.
But I think you'll appreciate this.
You were such a chubby baby. Oh my god, dude. You were such a chubby baby. It's crazy that like you
actually there's a date on this. So that's
bro, that's the
that's either October or December of 94. I'm not even a year old.
And that's the fattest you'll ever be.
Yeah, I was a fat baby, born with a full head of hair. So this was predestined.
Yeah,
but I was a fat.
I know
baby.
that is crazy. Like because I've actually seen like baby pictures of you, like newborn baby pictures. There was
that one picture. Yeah, there was that one picture hanging in the hallway. It was literally like the day after I was born, because it's one of those old school digital pictures,
Yep.
just been, or not digital, camera pictures that was just blown up that had the date stamped in the corner, and it was February 19th,
Yep.
the day after I was born. I'm
Yeah.
in, my grandparents are holding me,
Yeah.
and full head of hair,
Full head. Yeah. I know. I'm jealous.
destined to have like luscious hair the rest
Yeah.
of my life.
Yeah. It's gonna be sick. Yeah, dude. And it's gonna be gray.
Yeah, and-
You're gonna
and
be
my
like a
mom
little silver
always-
fox.
Now, my mom always loved fat babies, so she was going to have a fat baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was a fat baby,
Yep.
and now I'm a fucking toothpick.
Yep. Came out of the gate, fat baby, and you turned into a
And that was all the fat I would ever have.
Yeah, and all the fat you probably will ever have.
Yeah, like my genetics, I'm predisposed to being thin.
Yeah, and that was another like fun segment of the podcast I wanted to start was like your DoorDash.
I didn't do my 10. I didn't do my 10 pull-ups.
Well, it's not over yet.
Hey,
You're
it's
still
not
here.
too late. I'm still here.
I won't let you leave. You'll get them in. Dude, I gotta pee.
Yeah, sure.
Fuck. We haven't even got into what we wanted to do. So, all right, pee break.
Shit.
Sorry. All right, back from the pee break.
Mm-hmm.
That happened quick.
But yeah, as I was just saying before we came
Yeah.
back on here, and we're not gonna tangent too far into the politics, but I found out that Joe Biden had dropped out of the 2024 political race
Yeah.
by my one friend Louie texting me like, "It's so Jover, it's Jover," followed by an article that Joe Biden dropped out.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we are so back. We are so back.
Hashtag Jover. And we're back. We're back. Just hark it down like a cowboy.
That's what you're doing, bro.
Am I hooking it down?
You swallowed before me.
Yeah, you have to like, dude. I'm not down with the swish.
Well, that's because we're
It
not
just
adding
seems, yeah.
water. Got to water it down to 35% alcohol by volume.
Do you mean to grab water? I'll grab water.
You know, you got water bottles right there.
Actually, I do have water bottles right there.
Let's Well, we don't have like a whole glass.
I mean, they're probably.
We'll eyeball it. You know, it can't be
Yeah.
that bad.
I mean, it's pretty cool down here, so
And this is not hot water. That
No,
was his
it's-
biggest concern. It was
it's
hot
pretty
water.
cool.
Gosh, shove your finger in that, bro. I don't fucking know.
Your turn.
No idea.
Not to just hark it down like a.
I mean,
like a
Does
cowboy.
that seem about right?
Yeah, I think we did good.
Oh, he eyeballed it.
Yeah. Why can't we eyeball it? We got eyeballs.
Yeah.
I like it. So we'll see what that's like.
Yeah. We'll give that a minute to rest.
Yeah.
Just took a
Yeah.
swig. Knocked it back like a cowboy style.
Yeah, we ended off on Roadster Shop.
Yeah,
and
we were
their
supposed to
podcast.
We were supposed to start this
which
off with
was-
Goodwood. I don't think we even talked about.
Oh no, we didn't. We didn't at all. I don't think, honestly. But yeah, speaking of British and pop, you know,
British isms, British stuff.
Yeah.
The British. Goodwood
Yeah.
Revival, Goodwood Festival of Speed, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Goodwood is probably my favorite like automotive thing.
Yeah,
Just period.
Yeah.
Bar none.
Uh-huh.
And for those who don't know what Goodwood is, where do we start?
where do we start?
I mean,
so we did pull up a tab.
We did pull up a
We
tab.
did pull up a tab. So use that for reference.
Yeah. So, yeah,
that's
Goodwood's got
cracks.
like
Sorry. Dude, I was up there cracking my back at the pee break. Oh God, that's so good.
dude, you're crunchy. Like,
I am
I get one
crunchy.
good crack out of my back if I let it sit for a while. You know, if I move my head around, I like might be able to crack my neck a little bit. But
Yeah.
you're fucking crunchy, bro.
Yeah, dude, I am, and I think it's because of my back. I don't think. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you
know
were
what?
cracking
I'm
your
gonna
back before you kind of messed it up,
Yeah,
weren't you?
you're right. But I feel like, yeah, I think you're right. I think I'm just noticing it now because, like, I think that I'm more stiff these days because I'm just over conscious about my back. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah,
I like subconsciously
You've
do-
noticed it now.
Yeah, because like you go a whole like I had at least 6 solid months of my back being not good.
Fragile.
So yeah. So you start to move different because of that. obviously. Like
You're
inhibiting,
subconsciously
you're
like limiting the mobility of your back,
Right.
and now it's getting kind of
inhibiting
stiff.
pain, you know? So, and dude, it's only been like the last like 2 months maybe where I've like been back to working out, you know? And so like now like just getting movement back and like, cause like working out helps. So like, I feel like I'm starting to get
You're getting back into your
the
rhythm.
mobility. Yeah. Like I can flex a little bit. Whereas I've just been stiff for months. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And I think like because of that, I've been able to like crack more. I don't know. I think I'm overdue on cracks. I'm just cracking up. But, damn it. Goodwood. Fuck.
Yeah, so, you know, there are two things that, like, Goodwood's really known for, and one of the biggest ones is the Goodwood Hill Climb, which is basically the driveway of the Goodwood estate. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just driving cars up the driveway really fast. It's a hill, so it's a hill climb.
So, yeah. So that's what we should probably touch on is, like, that's, like, the driveway to this guy's house, right? Isn't it? What's the history
estate.
on this?
The Goodwood Festival of Speed was founded in 1993 by Lord March. I don't know who Lord March is. I'm sure there's British people who know who he is.
You can pull it up. Look at
I
that.
could pull it up, but
Well,
I don't
just
know if I care
right
enough.
Right there.
Charles Henry Gordon Lennox, 11th Duke of Richmond, 11th Duke of Lennox, 11th Duke. Oh my God, I hate this.
Dude, the
Rats.
Dukes. These fucking
And then Earl
British
of March
Dukes.
and until 2017 as a British aristocrat and owner of the Goodwood estate in Sussex. He's the guy who owns it. And that's all that is pertinent to this. Anyway, yeah, he wanted to bring motor racing back to the Goodwood circuit, but didn't have the necessary permits to host a race there, so he just hosted it on his own grounds, which was the Goodwood estate, and it's a hill climb up his driveway. Long story short,
Which is, dude, like, fuck a long story short. Like, imagine just, like, how many rich people, right? How many rich people in the world? And then there just takes one guy who's like,
this is
let's-
fucking cool. Let's
Yeah.
do this here.
No, not even that. But there's one guy who's just been racing down his driveway like a fucking bat out of hell, right? And then was like, I'm the fastest in my driveway. There's nobody who's faster than me.
I don't think that's how that played out, but it's
I like to think that
it's
he
a
was
fun
like,
fantasy.
I like to think that this guy was like, dude, I burned down my. It's like he's telling his friends, right?
Dude,
Like,
my driveway's fucking amazing.
dude, not even not even that. But people like he's a rich guy, likes cars, has people over his house, and they're like, man, your driveway is just incredible. I mean, it's like a back road. This is crazy that it took this long for us to get there. And he's like, yeah, like I don't feel like it takes that long. I burned down that thing. And they're like, what? And he's like, I'm telling you, no one gets down that driveway faster than me. And then his friend goes, hold my fancy drink.
Champagne.
And hold my champagne that I'm drinking. And then they were like, fire up the cars. And then I like to think, and then they were like, yo, are they racing? And then everybody else is like, dude, I'll get in on this. And then boom.
I am pretty sure that's not at all how this played out.
Damn it. Well, I like that idea because I would do that.
Yeah.
That's the way I think.
No, but I don't even care about the hill climb, if I'm going to be honest. What I care about is what they do at the Goodwood circuit, where they take vintage cars, vintage race cars, vintage street cars, and they drive them.
Yeah.
They drive the hell out of them.
Yeah.
They do full-on... Like, Goodwood's the only place you're going to find, like, a
And so-
1930s Ferrari going full speed ahead against a 1930s Alfa Romeo. Everywhere else, it's like they bring them out for a display, a parade lap. It's like, oh, and then they park them behind velvet ropes, and you look at them and go, oh, yes, that's history. That's nice. Meanwhile, Goodwood, they're banging off the red line, just hauling ass down this circuit in the rain. It doesn't matter.
In Ferraris?
In $1 million Ferraris from 1960, whatever.
Yeah.
And I love it. And my favorite one is, I don't even know what class it is. I don't know enough about, like, how they break down the classes. I just know that they do have classes. But whatever class has, like, minis battling Ford Galaxies, that is my favorite.
That's the one. Yeah. Yeah,
I
because
love
like
it.
that's like the classic. What What's
David
like,
and Goliath.
well, yeah, or like the it's the tortoise and the hare. That's what I'm thinking of. I know it's not the same.
Where are you even drawing that parallel?
Like one being fast and then one being slow.
Slow and steady versus fast. Well, you got one that's fast in the corners, one that's fast on the straights. There's just
All
two
right, so
different
maybe-
brands of fast.
All right. Well, yeah.
But I love that. I know we have.
But
like,
I mean, I guess that doesn't work because like they do make similar lap times. Is that the idea?
I mean,
because like
they-
you would think like the tortoise
so
and the
from
hare.
what I've watched, the Ford Galaxy and they've got like Galaxies, Thunderbirds, Mustangs, big heavy American boats with big powerful V8s. They're fast on the first half of the lap, which is a lot of like straights and shallow sweeping turns. And then the second half of the lap is more technical, and that's where the Minis and the Ford Cortinas and the Alfa Romeo start like nipping at their heels, start like poking holes in their defense around the turns. It just makes for a great race.
So if I could just justify the tortoise and the hare, like would you say that like a Mini Cooper could go around the track at the same lap speed?
They're very similar from what it looks like.
That's crazy. It's crazy that like this track has got that much of a hold. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So
mean,
like where like it matters that much that like this track you have to have a balanced car. You can't have small and nimble versus having
because there's enough
long
long
and fat,
straights.
like big
There's
and
enough long
fast.
straights where like if someone's fast on a straight, they're gonna catch you. They're gonna
Yeah.
go right around you. But you can't rely on that because the second half of the track is technical. So there's enough turns that like a Mini's gonna come right up your ass
Yeah.
within 2 turns.
Okay. So it doesn't quite apply because as you can see, like on that straight, it seems like the Galaxy like wouldn't do.
Yeah, I mean
that
there's a
poorly on the
particular Ford
turns.
Galaxy that competes regularly. That's like my favorite car. As an American, I have a bias, but watching this giant thing just hunt down these tiny
Yeah, and I'll
cars.
just pan
Look at
over to
the
that.
size difference.
It is incredible.
Oh, I love it. So on the straights, he's so much faster. Like he goes around them like they're standing still. And then 2 turns later, they're up his ass.
Yeah. Which is what I'm saying. Like
But again, these are vintage cars going,
yeah,
10 tenths. They are
Yeah.
not holding back.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do
yeah.
not care.
yeah.
I have seen contact happen in these
Oh yeah.
races. Yeah, like the first half of the track is winding and long and wide open, and this Galaxy's reeling in all these cars. But the second half is technical, so like you have all these other cars right back up its ass and nipping at its heels. If they can get their nose in on the inside, it's done. They're going through.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. This is
This is-
yeah,
this
dude,
is racing.
This is racing. I'm just gonna pan it back to them.
Oh my God, Goodwood is my favorite automotive thing,
Yeah.
like bar none.
Yeah.
I don't, F1, NASCAR, GT3, whatever. I do not care.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than this.
Yeah.
I hate when all the cars are the same and they rely on just the driver. I don't like people. I like cars. I want the car to speak for itself.
Right. Yeah. And so like
Look at this. This is
yeah.
that Mini's relentless because they're on the first half of the track. Or I mean, the second half of the track. There's the chicane right before the straight for the finish. They get on the straight. Galaxy walks away.
Yeah.
Just gone. Freight training down the straight.
Yeah.
But right before that, that Mini was nipping at him.
Yeah.
And that's more
Yeah, you
exciting
can see
than
that gap is like just kind of growing.
that's more exciting
Yeah.
than modern
But
racing.
dude, I caught that on camera of the Mini just sliding into position. That's
and these are vintage
crazy.
cars. They're
Yeah.
like irreplaceable, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
sending
yeah,
these things as hard as they can.
Yeah, and like you said, like rubbing is racing is applied here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
Hey, look, he's in the
Oh,
grass,
shit.
and the Jag spun, and like the Galaxy's in the grass.
Yeah.
And he just keeps. In fact, either I sent it to you or you sent it to me. That
Yeah.
Galaxy just straight through the grass.
Yeah.
Does not care.
Yeah.
Foot to the floor.
Yeah. Just to get around. And that's what he's doing right there.
Just eating them.
I don't know if I called that, but he just blasted past him just to get around. And yeah, he's
He's
going a
steering
little
with the throttle.
Yeah,
he ain't
he's
steering
going
with the
a
steering
little
wheel.
fast there. Yeah.
And once we get to the technical bits, the Mini is just up his ass.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. It's certainly more of a David and Goliath than it is a hare and the tortoise, because like it is so evenly matched. It's just like that. To your point, is why it's so good. Is that like there's these two things
It's evenly
that you
matched,
wouldn't think,
but being completely different.
Yeah.
And that makes dynamic. Like there's dynamics to the race. I hate modern racing where they put all these regulations in to make the cars close so the racing's tight. That's boring. Everything is the same. It's just
Yeah.
who makes a mistake. It's all
Yeah.
about the drivers. I don't give a fuck about the drivers.
Right.
I really don't.
Yeah,
This is great.
yeah, yeah.
Where each car has a distinct strength, and it's up to the driver to play to those strengths to make the difference. The car is a factor here.
Yeah.
Like, yes, obviously, like, last year Red Bull was dominant F1. This year they're struggling. The car doesn't fucking turn. Whatever. That's like a 5% difference. And when everything's so closely matched, that 5% makes a difference. This is the cars are complete fucking
Yeah.
opposites, and it makes it interesting. They are constantly shifting up and down the grid. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
You want like movement in the grid. You want exciting overtakes. This is how you get it. You make the cars
Yeah.
as different as possible.
Yeah.
You give them you give them strength at such extreme ends of the spectrum, and you let them duke it out.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what this whole race is. It's just this like constant fight for position over like straights and turns.
And on this track,
and-
especially this track, like in the
Yeah.
first half, you can't touch the Galaxy. It is
Yeah.
just zipping down all the wide open straights.
Yeah.
You get to the second half, and the guy's going off the road trying to keep these fucking small cars off it, like
off their tail.
yeah, to block him. Like he's like, oh,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
coming
yeah.
in. I gotta go this fast to block
Yeah.
him, and he's off the fucking track.
Yeah, exactly, because that messes them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it messes up their line.
But as long as he can
Yeah.
hold his position to the beginning of the track, there's his section. He
Yeah.
owns that. He's
Yeah.
gone.
Yep.
And I love it because he like opens up a gap, the gap fucking closes. He opens it back up, it closes again. Maybe he gets ahead, maybe he can fight it back.
Yeah.
That's dynamic racing. That's what I fucking love.
Yeah. Yeah. No, me too. And it definitely like makes for better watching. you
Yeah.
know? And like when the cars are not
When the cars are not the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
why I don't like NASCAR.
But they're also like they're not like heavily modified, and
No.
so like where I'm kind of going with this is like, so NASCAR is exactly what you're talking about, and I think
and Formula One for like very similar
For sure.
reasons. They're
For sure.
completely different
Because-
racing, but they're hampered by the same like problems.
yeah, but because what they're following is like the NFL model, the MLB model, is where like everybody can hit a ball, everybody can make a play, but it's like what players can do that play. And then so what happens is like you get people who buy jerseys, right? Like you get people.
I am struggling to follow you through this, but I'm going to let you cook.
Let me cook. So, so like with there's no parallel between ball sports and I guess I don't know what specific class you would call Formula One and NASCAR, but they're like multi-million, if not billion-dollar companies that are facilitating racing, and what they have in common is that like the rule set stays the same. Everybody has the same amount of rules, so just like you're saying is like who, like the difference is who, not what, right? And in this case, in Goodwood,
The cars
it's
play a huge role.
Right. The cars are
Yeah,
like the thing that plays a
Goodwood-
huge role. Now, and I will say like NASCAR and F1, those teams work really, really hard to be able to make
And
their
there are
car.
like really good cars and really bad cars.
Exactly.
But like I
Yeah.
said, the difference.
But it's just so slight.
yeah, the difference there is like 5%.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the difference here is like, well, in speed, it's like 150%.
Yeah.
In handling, it's 150%.
Yeah. And so in F1 and NASCAR, you find that like the largest variable is the driver.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Typically. So sometimes it's like, damn,
Yeah,
it's a good
like I said,
car.
sometimes there's a really bad car, sometimes
Yeah.
there's a dominant car.
But yeah, you're kind of dependent.
But even
on the
the
driver.
most dominant car there is only better by like 5%, but that's all it takes because everything is so fucking close.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goodwood, in my opinion, really like highlights the issue with modern racing.
Yeah.
And it's too sterile.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, this is what I was getting to. Let me like finish my point.
Yeah.
Is that like
Because I'm about to go the fuck off.
yeah. So Goodwood is great. I love it. I would agree. It's probably one of my like top 5s for like watchable. You know, maybe top 3.
It's top
But
for me.
yeah, I know. But they don't sell T-shirts with a 20 and a Tony Stewart on them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, that's the big difference is that like they don't have that. They don't have like, you know, Kimi Räikkönen, you know, they have Kimi Räikkönen on a T-shirt with like his number and the car and McLaren and whatever. Is that right? Is he McLaren? I don't know if he's even McLaren, but he might be Mercedes. I don't fucking know. But that's my point. Is that like when it comes down to the driver, there's sales.
Now Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, you have like which is
Max
definitely
Verstappen.
Verstappen, yeah. I think
Who's
he's
the new hot shit?
my favorite.
He's the hot shit. Right
He's the hot shit right now.
Max Verstappen. He's got a theme song. It's not official, but
I have
like,
not
he's got
heard
a theme
this.
song. He's got a theme song. An
Now
unofficial.
Now
theme
I
song.
hate him.
No,
No.
it's a fucking banger.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's my. I would say like I'm not giving him a pass, but all I'm saying is that like I think that's the idea. I think that's why
Yeah,
like
it makes money.
I think that's why it got so big. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
here's
because
the
you get
thing.
somebody to
Yeah.
root for.
Yeah.
You know.
But here's the thing: I'm not a sports enthusiast. I'm a car enthusiast.
Exactly.
I care more about the machine.
I know, and I think that's a thing, and I think FD is going through the same thing. You know, where they're trying to figure out like why isn't FD taking off? Like it's big, it's super big, but it's not NASCAR big.
Yeah.
Like people like are struggling in it. You know, the people who are like participating in it are having a really hard time, and viewership is down. You know, no one's going, no one's watching. Like the live stream is not doing great as a compared to the rest of the motorsports. So it's like, what are they
What are we
missing?
missing?
Yeah, and so what they're missing is like teams, which is why like RTR got in there, and now there's like this like Ford Racing team, and so like boom, like now the band, like now you have this like you're starting to get this same thing.
Yeah,
that
it
NASCAR
sucks.
has.
It
like,
sucks
they're,
because
they're
that's-
building off that same format, which I would agree.
Because it's profitable, and I hate it.
Exactly. And so what
and
that's
I hate
gonna,
it because I'm a minority.
but this
Not
is
not ethnically speaking, but
both.
My I am ethnically a minority, but no, but viewpoint where I care more about the machine than I
Yeah.
care about the driver.
Well,
honestly.
so to finish my point is that what FD is going, I predict is going to turn into. So when Ford came in and did the RTR series with all the Mustangs, they've been podium, because they're throwing money in. They have a really, really good car, a really, really good engine, and like they're creating the like the how-to.
yeah.
So
and
like now,
I hate that.
exactly. So what's going to happen? I predict is that like now like FD is going to become like 90%
So
Ford Mustangs.
Yeah, there's a thing
You know,
in
until
nature.
someone else comes up with like
Yeah.
maybe Camaro or like maybe like
Yeah, and-
Toyota
and
with the Supra comes in and kind of
it's a universal constant. There's a thing in nature where like multiple species of completely like basically completely unrelated, they all evolve into fucking crabs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. Like if you want to go absolutely as fast as possible around a track, you have an F1 car.
Right.
And even then, they still limit it because,
Mm-hmm.
like, if someone has too dominant of a advantage, they fucking ban it.
Yeah.
But you know, they give a rule set, and all the cars look the same because they all fit into this one box. They all evolve into crabs. And with NASCAR, they have one chassis, and the only difference is how they set up the suspension and the manufacturer of the engine. If the engine's reliable, and whatnot, and even GT cars, which is the closest thing to like my ideal form of racing. They share so little with the road going car. You know, they basically they have the outer body, but like it's a whole tube frame, and you know they've got like cantilever suspension under the bodywork, and it's barely related to the road going car anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to strip away the bodywork, like outside of engine placement, which is a big deal.
Yeah. Most of the cars are all the same.
Yeah, if it's a front engine car, they start shifting it towards the back. If it's a mid engine car, they start shifting it towards the front to put it in the middle. All that kind of crazy shit. You know, you look at any of these GT cars, and the guy's sitting in like what would be the back seat in the road going version.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know,
The
it's
seat
shit
gets
like that.
so far back.
Yeah, because they're all going for this ideal thing within the constraints of the rules.
Right.
You go to vintage racing, or you go to Goodwood, which are vintage cars. They're road going cars with a cage slapped in it.
Yeah.
There's so much variation between the individual cars. It's why like all the amateur racing, all the homegrown shit is my favorite shit to watch.
Yeah.
Because they're road going cars. They're so different.
Yeah.
And they play to like so many different strengths
Exactly.
that and in Goodwood is like that exemplified, especially the class where they race Galaxies, Minis, Jaguars, Alfa Romeos. Yeah, in certain parts of the track, the Galaxy is going to dominate. In certain parts of the track, the Mini's going to dominate. The Alfa Romeo is a better balance between the two. It's faster than the Mini, but it's not quite as nimble. And they're all vying. Like, literally, there's no guarantee who's going to win. It's so up in the air because it's just the cars are so different. And as someone who cares more about the machine than the drivers, I'm like, I couldn't tell you who's driving the fucking Galaxy. I have no clue.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't care.
Right.
The Galaxy just fucking bombs down the straight and then is barely staying on the track trying to fight off the Mini Coopers and the Jaguars around the turns.
Yeah.
It's fucking exciting. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like 10-tenths racing all the time.
Yeah.
And because the cars aren't that good, they're sliding. They're fucking going off the track. It's exciting.
Yeah.
When cars like get too good and when to go back to FD, when manufacturers get involved and they have all that money to like perfect it, it gets sterile.
Yes.
And I hate it.
Sterile is the right word. Yeah.
I hate it.
100%.
This homegrown, like, we're going to just take this car and make it as good as we can and fucking send it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
me too.
so much better to watch.
Yeah.
It's so much more dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And it sucks that like because a lot of these things are amateur, they don't get the most light.
They don't get the recognition they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, if you like F1 and you like racing and all that, go find an amateur racing league and watch it. And I'm not talking
Yeah.
about Spec Miata because that kind of falls into the same trap of all the cars are the same. Go watch Goodwood.
Yeah.
Just watch a Goodwood race and tell me that's not the
Yeah.
best fucking racing you've seen in a decade.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like you brought up like the GT3 stuff, which is usually different classes all running at the same time.
Well, that's GT3 is A class. Like, you'll have multi-class races where you have like GT3 racing
or maybe
with
it's
like prototype car. Like, especially the 24-hour of Le Mans is like the most stereotypical example where they've got prototype cars, GT3,
Yeah.
GT1, whatever. I don't know the classes because I don't watch Le Mans that much because I don't find it nearly as interesting as Goodwood.
yeah.
But
Well, the main takeaway with those kind of races is that like you find that like these drivers have to figure out in real time how to make a pass, power or not, and so like it's different than Goodwood, but it has that same excitement at the same time where it's like you're
like,
seeing these
it's
passes
the closest thing
yeah
in modern racing, I think, to
that gets televised.
my ideal racing.
Yeah,
But like, it's still not as good as watching
know.
actual vintage race cars go at
Yeah.
it because they are so raw, analog, and different, dynamic.
right. And so what are the standards for being in Goodwood? Like,
I have no clue because
There must be a limitation to how much you can do.
They do. There are
Tire,
rules, I'm
engine.
sure. And they definitely classify them by some sort of class because, like, if we look here, we've got like, I don't even know what this is. This is the SF Edge Trophy race. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
But these are all like pre-war Grand Tour or Grand Prix cars. They are not nearly the same. Like, look at
Yeah.
these things.
yeah.
But again, where else are you going to find cars this old going full bore?
Yeah.
Like,
You're
they
not-
are not holding back.
Yeah.
These are cars from like the 19 teens to the 1920s.
And this is cool that they have this. How do they even get that video footage?
Oh, they had
of
a
it on the
camera just
side?
mounted to it.
But I mean, but as a Goodwood corporation, you'd be like, hey, everybody gets a GoPro.
Well, that's the other thing. This is like live. Well, not live, but like they didn't. This is all like broadcast at the same time. They didn't pull that camera off. They didn't
That's what I'm
stitch
saying.
this video together. They got a camera with a transmitter on a car from the 19 teens. How cool is that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like this place, like they're like, hey, like everyone's gonna get a camera on their car so we can use your footage.
Probably just certain highlight, like cars that they know that are probably going to be in the action.
That's true.
Because
Yeah.
what I was saying to you off the, oh, look, there's a fucking drone right there. Yeah, this is drone footage. But what I was saying to you off camera is like, this isn't a perfect, like, this isn't exactly what you would have seen back in the day. because there's probably not enough of those cars still around to like be able to delineate them that like precisely. These are just like a group of cars from roughly this era.
Yeah.
So some of these are outdated compared to others.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one of them is the Beast of Turn, which was a land speed record car. It was not a race car.
Yeah.
It was meant to set a land speed record. It can't fucking turn.
Yeah.
But it's running with all of these.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, if you see
So
a really
there
tall
might
red,
be like a decade between them all.
a decade or two,
Yeah.
I don't actually know. But at
But
the
it's a
same
pretty good
time,
gap.
it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, that guy's doing at least 60.
Yeah.
In a car from... Yeah, there's the Beast of Turn right there. That's a land speed car.
Yeah.
That's not a race car. And he's
The red
still
one?
running. Yeah, the red one at the front
Yeah.
there. It's got like a 28-liter four-cylinder.
Yeah.
And that guy doesn't even have a body. It's a radiator, engine, and a chassis.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh, your dog's really excited
It's getting
about
a little
something.
intense. Possible pee break. So back from the pee break. Sorry again.
I mean, that wasn't even a pee break. That was a, what are the dogs barking at?
Yeah, my bad. Yeah. So Goodwood, definitely one of the highest.
That is
I would
peak
say
racing
highest
for me.
Yeah, highest grade. Like if you're looking at like, not numbers, not money. You know, not like dude. Just like if you're
About the visceral experience. We're not even talking about lap times at this point.
exactly. We're talking about like just car, like racing.
Yeah, so
like they have the best, and that's what's been crazy, which is kind of what I was getting into about the NASCAR Formula One, which does have a gigantic audience, and they love that, and I think it is because of the format they've used, where they've kind of started to use that same like NFL kind of style. Of thing where like you start to root.
It's
for
marketable.
It's marketable because you start to root for the people and like not so much
And,
the cars.
yeah,
and so that brings in people who like don't know anything about cars who can love just being there. Like I love racing, you know what I mean?
they're going real fast and real left.
Yeah, and I should say I do love NASCAR. I love like I like the Cup Series, like the super aerodynamic, like the cool cars they have now. Like people. The diehard fans of NASCAR hate the new cars, but I think they're cool as fuck. They're super low.
They hate every new car.
Yeah,
Every single time.
yeah, it's true. It is very true, and because it has gone through a few iterations. But like the newest ones now, like dude, the body lines of the cars, they sit so much lower. I don't know. I think it's cool, and it looks.
Yeah, but they're all the same, and that's my problem.
They're not quite all the same because like they all have. So like the Fords and the Chevys, all that, like they don't have the same body. They have different bodies.
They might be differently shaped
Exactly.
slightly.
But that's what
functionally
drew,
it makes no difference.
For sure. But that's what brought me back in because like now you can see like
You're so starved for variety that a slight change in the body shape was enough to itch that scratch that itch for you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
No, and I do understand though, like especially with Formula One, like there is something exciting about like this is the cutting edge. This is like the best that we can possibly do. But even then, we still constrain it.
Yeah,
because let's face it, the limiting factor at this point is us, the squishy meat bags piloting the thing, and you know we go too much faster than that, and it becomes like needlessly dangerous. But it seems so sterile to me.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like when the focus is just the drivers. I get that that's like a big appeal to other people, and I get that I'm probably the minority here. But I like cars, and I like car racing, and I want it to be about the car as much as the driver. I don't want it to just be the driver. Like NASCAR has these fucking, they have, well, it's not just NASCAR. It's every like successful big commercialized racing series, they're always talking about how do we make the racing closer? How do we have more overtakes and make it more competitive, more exciting, and blah 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 blah. Make the fucking cars different.
Yeah. Let the engineering take over and let them just do their thing to make faster cars.
And the biggest thing, like my ideal racing like series, and it really does harken back to older racing series, is if I could like set up my own series, it would be okay. You want to race? You're a manufacturer. You want to race your car? You're using a chassis that came right off the production line. You can put a cage in it, make it as safe as possible for the driver. We're not trying to like do the old school. If you crash, you go flying into the crowd.
Yeah.
But the suspension,
Yeah.
you're using the suspension that's on there. You can change the spring rate, you can change the damping rate, you can change the alignment within like the bounds of what that suspension setup lets you do. But you're not putting cantilever push rod actuated suspension in there. You're using a McPherson strut if your car came with a McPherson strut. If you've got a dead axle in the back, you're using a dead axle. If you have a multi-link, you're using a multi-link.
Yeah.
The engine,
And so like the same thing like with like the similar things with drifting is like you can't relocate your rack. You know, that's a big one that changes a lot of things because like
it completely
you
changes
go-
the geometry.
but exactly. So like it's instead of it being a push and pull, it's like instead of it being a push, it's a pull for drifting, right? So you put the rack is in front of the front axle, you know, versus the back. It's more pulling the wheels this way as opposed to like pushing the wheels that way. And so like that's a big thing with like 240s versus like the E36 like E46 style, you know? Because I would like that. And so, but like if you leave it to that, the only issue that I see is that like you get only one specific car. You know what I mean? So like,
I mean, to a point, but the
Yeah.
thing is like if manufacturers were to get involved, like it becomes a budget thing. Like, is it worth getting into this race series if I have to develop an entirely new car from the ground up that is production? Like homologation is something that I love when it comes to like racing, where like you want to race this, okay, make it so people can buy it, because that puts restrictions on there without confining manufacturers to like a super specific rule set where all the cars end up evolving into a fucking crab of racing.
yeah.
So homologation rules is something we need to bring back. Like, oh, you want to race the new BMW M4? Well, it's got to be a manufacturer spec car. You cannot just slap a body onto a tube chassis and call it an M4.
Right.
And you know, one of the things that killed that for the performance aspect of it is emission regulations. You know, back NASCAR used to be like factory. They were stock cars. That's why it's called stock car racing. They took a car, put a cage in it, they stripped all the extra shit out of it, and all of the performance parts, the suspension, the engine, all of that shit had to be available for purchase for the average consumer to put on their car at home.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to, you could buy all of the parts. Maybe not the cage, you have to make that yourself, but like you could buy all the parts and make a NASCAR spec car and drive it down the road.
Yeah.
I understand why that doesn't work, and I wouldn't put those same restrictions on performance aspects. I would put the restrictions on the block and the heads. Like, oh, you want to race your car? Stock block, stock heads. You can fuck with the cam, you can fuck with the lifters, you can fuck with the tuning, the turbo, all of that.
Yeah.
The block and the head need to be factory. And that's my racing series.
Yeah.
Factory suspension. You can change all of the adjustable parts of it. You can, you know, fuck with the. You get an alignment
but you can't
kit.
pull it all out and just change it
you
into.
can't change it to a different system. The chassis, factory.
Yeah.
You can put a cage in it. You can strip all the sound deadening, all the extra shit out of it. You can throw a cage in all that. It's a factory chassis. It's
Yeah.
factory suspension, factory block, factory heads.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that right there, if a manufacturer wants to compete in that, they got to pick something out of their lineup. They will not spend the money to develop an entirely bespoke chassis and suspension system just for this race series.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were saying that, I love that because I think that's what stopped a lot of people from getting into Formula Drift is because they know walking in they have to do all the things you said not to do. You know, like
and again, I understand that like that's probably not a realistic, want. But that's what I want.
I know, but it makes sense because if you're talking about like real like automotive racing, like that is what you want because to my point with like at least just Formula Drift, you take you take this car that you're saying is like whatever, it had all this different stuff on it, and then like you tube the chassis like you were talking about earlier, just changing the position where you're sitting and the gas tank and all this other stuff, and like all that's good. That's all good stuff, and it does make
it's good for racing.
It does make it better, yeah. But now like you're changing the barrier to entry to like being this like,
and that's a problem a lot of
astronomical
racing
thing.
faces.
Yeah, and so I don't know if it's a bad thing. I don't know because like The only reason I'm saying that is because like maybe like what FD and NASCAR and Formula One is supposed to be is like the highest echelon of all those things.
Yeah, it is.
But to what you were saying is that like, then why do they restrict it? If you're restricting it to like these like little things and like you've capped it here, it's like if this is supposed to be the best of the best of the best of what we can figure out, then like shouldn't we just like be rewarding innovation?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we be allowing like the $1 million like
when
McLaren
manufacturer
team to like
has an advantage that makes them, completely dominant, don't ban that innovation.
yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
like,
Lotus actually put a CVT in their Formula One car, and it was so much faster than everyone else. They banned it before like the season even started.
yeah. And so like I was just kind of talking bad about like RTR and like Ford getting into drifting and kind of how it's starting to begin to make like a platform. I'm not a platform, but like an outline for like what is necessary to win championships, as opposed to like the old 240s with like Jay-Z swaps or even way back in the day with SRs are still able to like keep up with.
Where SRs were still competitive for the top of the line.
Right? They were still competitive. So like, but as things have changed, it's like I don't know, because I kind of hate the fact that like that Formula Drift can turn into this like NASCAR thing, where it's like you'd be ridiculous if you showed up in NASCAR with any other engine than what they. I think that you can't even do.
No, they give you a format.
You have to have the same.
You make
engine.
it yourself, but like. It fits this
it's
very
like Toyota,
this very
and
strict.
Ford, they all make the same engine, but
it
like,
fits a very strict blueprint.
Yeah, blueprint.
And,
right.
It literally comes down to
Blueprint
like
is the right word.
It literally comes down to who's most reliable.
Yeah.
and maybe who's more fuel efficient.
Yeah, and so like
Because they all make 700 horsepower.
yeah, so NASCAR does have that. So we're like NASCAR is far more competitive as far as like the cars go completely, because like you don't have to worry about a lot of those same factors with a drift car, but still it just seems like that like Ford's winning everything, and it starts to become boring where it's like I mean like James Dean is like the best driver, he's one of the greatest, but like he's also got a car that's like way better than everybody else's car,
and now everyone's car is going to be like his.
Exactly. So people look at him.
Now,
and
I do want to just address one thing right now for the 12 people who are going to listen to this whole rant.
Shout
I
out.
do
We love
understand
you.
that everything I outlined is like my ideal race series does exist. It's amateur racing.
Exactly. And so that
And I think I even said that at the beginning of this. It's like amateur racing is like more exciting to me than professional racing.
Yeah.
And Goodwood also embodies this because these are cars from that time period where that was how racing was done.
Now, to that point, people who are like big NFL fans are in the same boat where they say college, amateur, but the guys aren't getting paid, and they're just out there doing it for the love of the game.
Well, it's not just the love of the game. Like they have to like put out,
Yeah,
in
'cause
order
they wanna
like,
get to the
get
NFL.
picked up. So
it's the same thing.
In a way, you're seeing the best of the best because like it's people who haven't made it. They have something to prove.
Yeah, and drifting's 100% that way because when you're driving because like you want to get good and you have to be competitive and you want to pick up sponsors, and above all, you have to get good because you have to win a license to get into like a pro spec license to get in the into
Anything that makes it like
Formula
lucrative and
Drift
worthwhile.
and all that. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I just, I think that to circle back to what you were about to say was that like what we should be trying to do as like car enthusiasts is just trying to pump up amateur stuff.
There's just one racing series. I don't remember what it is, but it was in Australia, and there's this one guy whose name escapes me. I used to know what his name was. He drives an EG hatch. He's the best fucking driver I've ever seen in like any kind of amateur sport.
Yeah.
He'll go up against like a V8 Falcon or a V8 Commodore, and the famous one that I saw, like the most viral video on YouTube, it's at Bathurst in Australia. And I don't know if you're familiar with that track at all.
I definitely have heard of it.
I've driven
for
it
sure.
tons of times on Forza.
Okay, that's why I think I maybe know it.
And there's the back half of it. It's like up in the hilly section and all that. There's just one section where you just don't pass. Like the track is narrow. It's really windy. There's a lot of elevation change. It's sketchy as hell. Guy doesn't brake for like 30 seconds is exaggerated. He doesn't brake way later than anyone else would who is even remotely sane, and he just blows past all the other the guy he's trying to pass. He passes in a zone that you shouldn't be able to pass in, and he just hucks his Civic in, trusts that it's going to hold on to the track, and gets past him, and just hauls ass down the back section. It's super windy, and having driven it in Forza, which I acknowledge is not a sim racer, but close enough.
Yeah.
I've driven real cars, driven Forza. It's close enough to give you a taste of what it's like.
Yeah.
And if you get the flow right and you cut the apexes just right, it's magical. And this guy just bombs down it.
Yeah, nails it.
Opens up a huge gap between him and the guy he just passed in that one section. And he needs it because right after that it's just straight 90 straight.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Yeah. So he's got this turn.
He's got this
turn right after a straight nailed down.
Yeah.
Just so that it gives him that advantage to get ahead even further through the.
Yeah, he gets through a section that you shouldn't be able to pass at. He passes in a section that you shouldn't be able to pass at. Right after that is an incredibly technical downhill section that he just bombs through.
Yeah.
Wide, open, pries that gap open.
Yeah.
And it's enough that by the time he gets to the long straight, or gets to the end of the long straight, that car he passes no hope of catching up.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of shit that I love.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I did. And I feel like with the more attention to Goodwood, the more people will see that this is the best kind of sporting event, for cars.
Yeah.
Because it's
this.
Oh, is it this one?
This guy. This red Civic.
I'll pull it up. Yeah, because this is
and look at the variety. We got E30s. We got
yes, exactly. When you see a variety of cars,
that's I don't know if that's a Falcon or a Commodore. The Australians are gonna hate me. I think is a Celica.
I think the first
that's
one,
a modern.
I think the first
M3.
I think
and
I think what is that? Is that car an Alfa Romeo in the front?
No, that's a Celica.
That one,
I
blue
think
one.
That's an old. At the front. No, that's a Holden Commodore. Or a Ford Falcon. Right here. You should.
Oh, I see it now. It looks a little bit different. Oh,
look
yeah.
You don't pass there.
Crazy.
And then just drives a wedge in it.
Yeah.
And no one else is even touching him in this section.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, this is intense.
And look at the variety. You got an old BMW, a new BMW.
Yeah, there's a E92 and
there's an E36 behind them all.
E36, E30.
We're onto the straight, and he's got no hope.
Yeah, an old Celica. Yeah, dude, an old Celica leading the pack in front of an E92 is crazy.
This is so much more exciting than NASCAR, in my opinion. It just
110%. Yeah, 110%. And I think that...
And look how close the Commodore got back up to him.
Yeah, it's closing the gap.
But it's not enough.
Yeah.
And then we're back into turns.
Yeah.
And the Civic's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And so I think what the real sad truth of this is that there's not enough true enthusiasts who care this much about racing.
There are car
to make
enthusiasts
it popular.
and there are race enthusiasts. And the race enthusiasts, they'll pick a favorite driver and a favorite manufacturer, because the manufacturer does play a different. Like I said, last year Red Bull was dominant, and now I think Mercedes McLaren's stealing their lunch money.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a 5% difference, and everything has been so compressed into one set of rules that 5% makes a difference.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, here, just like Goodwood, you've got one car that's untouchable in the straights and another car that's untouchable in the corners, and it makes such a dynamic, interesting experience to watch.
Yeah.
Let alone drive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, but I mean, for people, again, like, you know, people who watch NASCAR, I don't know, maybe I'm, you know, what's the right word? What's the right word? I mean, I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone on this, but like, there's a lot of people in NASCAR who are like fans of NASCAR, but like they don't really care what the outcome is. You know what I mean? So like, there's a lot of people that are like that, where like, you know, you're a fan of NASCAR, you buy NASCAR stuff, you know, NFL.
You probably
is,
have a favorite driver.
you picked one, you know, as the
Praise
idea.
hell, praise Dale.
Hell yeah, you know, and the same thing with like NFL, where like you just kind of pick the team, you kind of pick the home, you buy all the gear.
They're in it for
so
the
that
experience.
They're in it for the experience, and they're not really there because like they care about like what happened or like what's going on or like how the driver did or the experience or like, you know, like
They're here
what's
to
happening
get drunk
with the,
and watch cars go left real fast.
Yeah, exactly. And there's tons of scenarios where like, you know, people who like pay attention to the NFL teams, like they're the head coach or like the owner of the team has done this, and like they're like those are the hardcore fans, and then there's the people we just talked about,
Yeah.
you know, where it's like that's the gigantic, you know, divide between them both, and so but it doesn't matter because all of those people are all fans that all get funneled into that thing, you know. And so, like, this kind of stuff, like, I don't know. I would imagine, like, to be able to do this kind of racing as also, like, Goodwood. I mean, those cars are stickered up, you know, which, like, I appreciate. But I, like, can imagine. I don't know. And
You're not going to get rich doing that, that's for sure.
No. And so this actually is a kind of funny segue that I didn't even know we were going to do. But even NASCAR, as it turns out, is not profitable
Not
sport.
lucrative.
Yeah, it's not lucrative. So it seems like as big as NASCAR is, which is like everyone, it doesn't matter if you've ever even seen a race.
You sent me something about that, and wasn't that like kind of from the relatively recent like contractual changes and all that? They're just not paying the teams enough.
Well,
they're not paying out enough for them to like be able to keep this up.
yeah, well, I think it's always been that way. So
I think it's gotten worse because they're making a stink about it now.
well, I think that it probably only got worse because because of social media. There's a lot of sponsors that have probably just let up because they're like, yeah, a lot of people watch, but like we don't have to pay to like for them to watch it here. You know what I mean?
I mean, I get what you're saying, but again, like, I don't think I've heard as much people complaining about like people have always complained that professional racing is expensive, and that's something that the the governing bodies are always trying to like figure out how to like cap that so that more people can get into it. But it wasn't until that thing that you sent me that it's like kind of come to light, like it's NASCAR specifically, like we're not getting paid enough from like the actual event organizer to continue doing this. You know, sponsorships have always played a big part of their revenue, sure, but like they were complaining specifically about what the governing body of NASCAR was paying out per race.
Yeah, as far as like winning.
Well, the thing that you sent me.
Yeah, so the thing that I think the main thing about what they were saying was that like it costs a lot of money to be there.
Yeah, and the payout wasn't enough to cover that.
But like not everybody gets paid out. It's not like there's no
But they in the thing you sent me, they were specifically calling out the what they were getting paid from like the NASCAR governing body.
Oh,
not,
yeah.
They weren't complaining about their sponsors. They weren't complaining about like anything else. Their merch sales or anything. They were specifically complaining about the people running NASCAR not paying them out enough.
Yeah, to want to do this series. Yeah, for sure. And so,
real quick though,
so that's the main takeaway. Just to cover that, because like I mean, there's not really much to go off of that, but yeah, pretty much like so everyone who's in NASCAR is paying to be there, and yes, they have tons of sponsorships. It's very difficult to like quantify exactly, but basically like they're losing money. Mm-hmm. Everybody who's involved with it is losing money, and then. But like the same thing goes for, again, Formula Drift. Like no one is making money. Even the people who win Formula Drift, they're winning Formula Drift.
They're making money from sponsorship
Well,
deals and other shit.
But bro, like I was talking about before, they're winning Formula Drift with RTR.
Yeah.
RTR is taking the money and then like basically giving you a salary.
Yeah.
Off of like, and which is like, dude, how can you complain? You have the coolest job in the world.
Yeah.
But like, this is why Chelsea Denofa quit. Is because like Chelsea Denofa was like, shout out, not that he needs it, but like
Notice me,
he was
senpai?
on the RTR drift team, and he did a really good fun podcast with Vaughn Gittin Jr., which has been like a Ford guy forever, maybe
Yeah.
one of the first.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think he
yeah.
was the first.
He was one of the first, for
Yeah,
sure.
to
He's
be on-
always driven Mustangs.
Yeah, so I think he was the first guy on the RTR team, but like, because he talks about it, like, you know, half jokingly, but he's like, dude, how could you quit? You're literally at the top. Like, you're in the best
Yeah,
team
but I feel
in
like
Formula Drift.
Chelsea Denofa cared enough about like the spirit of it. And he's like, this is becoming like corporatized. I don't like that.
And he hates the entire, structure.
Mhm.
Because the same thing. 'Cause he's like, dude, I won and then I didn't win.
Would you say
Like,
it's becoming sterile?
Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, and I don't know like the exact words that he used, but yeah, there was, you know, he's saying that like, you know, it would cost so much money, even with the sponsorship, even with RTR, and it's a lot of work. And then once you get there, like, he doesn't say it, but like RTR is taking the cut, you know. So like you won because you did it, and then RTR gets paid out,
And then they pay you.
right? And then he gets paid something. But he's like, dude, I should just go off and do my own thing. With this amount of money, I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing.
But you have to get to that level, and that barrier. to
Yeah,
entry
of
is really
course. Yeah, of
fucking
course.
high.
Like, obviously, you know, he earned his way to the top, which is why RTR even picked him.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, well deserved. But, like, he just realized he's like, I don't need RTR. And I don't even like Formula Drift.
Yeah.
Like, I like doing grassroots
I like
stuff.
drifting.
Yeah.
Drifting for fun.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? If I want to like take a Porsche 918 and make it a drift car, why can't I?
Yeah, you know the whole, you know, people say if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
Well, that, you know, I like cars. I worked on cars. It was still work.
No,
and
but
it made it
that's
very.
not-
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
If
I
the
see.
conditions make it shit,
Yeah.
it makes you just hate what you love
Yeah,
instead
yeah,
of
yeah.
the other way
Yeah,
around.
because that's like Chelsea Denofa's equivalent was like yeah, drifting for money. Yeah, hell yeah. It's like us working on cars for money. We're like hell yeah.
And
then
then
you get there and you're like,
wow,
I
this
have
is
to-
fucking restrictive and awful.
yeah. Well, no, it's just like I have to empty this person's trunk out. Like, you know, like
God.
I have to work on somebody's piece of shit and they're waiting.
Oh, what was that crusty thing that fell on the driver's seat? Oh, they've picked their nose and wiped it on the side of the seat for the past several years. And
Yeah.
I touched that without a glove.
yeah. And it's
Yay.
like, oh, 4 tires and the struts are blown out and like the
I need to disassemble.
exhaust manifold's leaking. It's
I
like,
need to disassemble the interior for the airbag module, and it's a minivan and full of fucking child boogers and rotted food.
yeah.
How did you know I wanted to do that?
Yeah. But like the biggest thing
I'm not bitter.
Yeah. I mean, like insides of cars are gross, and I did touch on that. But like, the biggest
People
thing is
are
that like what I
fucking
hated
gross.
the most, I hated so much is like doing like 4 tires in alignment on something that has like
didn't hate
an
the-
exhaust leak and it has all this other like dumbass. I like you just feel like you're working on pieces of shit, and you're just like you're not. But like you're bubble gumming a car together and you get it back on the road, and like that's what's important. We need that stuff. We need those people
But
to
it's
do
not
that.
fun.
But it's not fun. It's actually kind of depressing, and like it just feels like you're just like doing shit for no reason. And where like as you could be a person who's building high performance cars, or you could be a person who's just working on high end cars where they just like to fix stuff. And
Or
then
you could
then when
be-
you get done, you have a nice car, and you're like, wow.
Or you could be
Like, they're gonna
Furman
drive
just building
this.
race cars
Yeah.
in a garage on his own time,
That's
on his
exactly.
own terms.
Yeah, I know. I think Furman's figured it out. Shout out to Furman. We love you, bro. And we need to go see Bad Boys. But
Is that still in theaters? I feel like that's out of
I don't
theaters by
know.
now. We might have missed that boat.
but shout out Furman.
Let's go back to happier topics. So I told you in that one,
Yeah.
this is that one clip I was specifically talking about how he breaks way later than you should be able to.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, just watch this. That guy's on the brakes. He's still not on the brakes. He is tucked in onto the inside.
Pause.
He's still not on the brakes.
Bruh. Hit it again.
There.
Oh my god, dude.
And that's the
That's
difference
in-
between a car that can turn and a car that's fast in a straight line.
Yeah.
And that's what makes racing interesting.
Yeah. No, 100%. You know what? As much as we've like, chanted and barked at this, I think this is like, it's gotten to this point because this is what it's going to be. Right? Like, I don't think that we're going to, I'm sorry. Because like, I think that we're losing the car generation, right? The people who are still into cars at a young age are doing sideshows.
It's becoming more, don't.
which sucks. It's terrible. And then the people who are into fast stuff are wrecking, and because they don't understand physics, they're not looking at it in like a. They didn't get to start out in a car that like had 100 horsepower.
Yeah, we're at the point where like power's so accessible that you could be 16 years old, spend 30 grand, and get a 500 horsepower car.
Yeah, and go kill yourself.
Yeah.
It's a little intense. And like and on top of that, you could probably do that with like 200 and 300 plus.
300 horsepower is enough to kill yourself.
Yeah.
200 horsepower is enough to get into trouble.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, we're bebopping around 120 to 140 horsepower cars. 180
Exactly.
horsepower is like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Strap a turbo on a Honda, and now you're talking about 300? That's like, you got an actual race car. This shouldn't be on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%.
And it's front-wheel drive.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there's a few times in my life where I've gotten like this like come to Jesus moment where like I was going as fast as I could, let's just say.
Mom, Dad, I hope you're not watching.
I was going as fast as I could in a car and on a highway after the car meet with like a ton of like fast ass cars, and I'm literally like I'm chasing down a car that was with me fast as I can and like burying whatever.
You put a dent in your floor trying to hit that gas pedal.
Yeah, and these cars are like I was standing still, like going by, and I was like, I was like at that point I was like, I need that, and like now I look back and I'm like, dude,
I'm glad I didn't have that. I was a mess with 120 horsepower. What do you mean 300?
Dude, I would not be sitting here if I fucking had that. Because it's not right. And like, so you see these kids who just get their first car and it's a 350Z. Bro, that 350Z.
Making 300 horsepower.
Dude, that gives you crazy confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's a good car for sure. But like, it's not the car that's supposed to have that much power.
You shouldn't be starting at that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're getting 350Zs. These things are clapped.
Yeah.
They're not safe anymore.
Not safe. Yeah. And like I could, with enough conversation, I'm sure we could make the same argument for like a V6 Camry. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I mean, we don't need to go into it.
Bro.
Don't sleep on them, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like, they're in that same category where like you get yourself in some trouble.
Yeah, we're at the point now where like less than 250 is like, what are you even doing?
Right. Yeah. It's not. It's like you won't put that in production.
I mean, a base model Camry comes with like 250, right?
Right. 100%. A 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
Which is doing very well per liter. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, perfect example. Let's go to Hondas because Hondas are popular and
Sure.
we cut our teeth on Hondas.
Hell yeah.
The Civic Si of our era, 160 horsepower.
Yep.
Even when they switched to the K series, the EP3 Civic, 160 horsepower.
Yeah.
The CRV, like
When
I stopped paying attention at like the 5th or 6th gen was like 190 horsepower.
Yeah.
And that's not a performance. That's an amorphous blob of a car that your grandmother buys because it's easy to get in and out of.
Yeah. Which is a classic example of like line go up, but why? but why?
You were so busy asking if you could. You didn't stop to ask if you should.
Yeah, like why? Why does my CRV?
Because the RAV4 had 180.
Well, that's a good example of where like the RAV4. I don't know if it still does, but it came with a V6.
It doesn't come with a V6 anymore, but that's fine because because the 4-cylinder makes the same power.
Yeah.
And now they have a hybrid that makes even more.
That's why that happened. Yeah, that makes sense. But it is always it's kind of funny to think that like even during the time of the J series for Honda, that they like never were like.
No, but you could get a V6
because they were so close to that next generation of like the
They
cool
never put
K
the V6.
series.
Yeah, they never put the V6 in the CRV.
Yeah,
But the RAV4 got the V6 and it ran 14s. Who needs to run
Well,
14s in a fucking SUV?
I know my sister has one now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck.
They're like, oh
But
God.
it was a strategic decision because I kind of figured she couldn't blow it up. I've never seen one blow up.
No.
I mean, I worked at
But
Lexus and I worked
gave
at
your sister more power than you had in your LSV Integra.
We can't let her know that. We can't let her know that. We can't let her know that. But for me working at Toyota and Lexus, I've never seen one of those V6s blow up. Not a single one.
No, but do you
A
know
couple
what
of them
is
come in
blowing
with
up from
little-
Toyota?
little
The Turbo
low-
4s.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Turbo 4s are stressed engines.
Yeah.
Like when we
Well, we
bolted,
know why. We know
when
why.
we bolted a
Dude,
turbo
we-
onto a B or a K, we understood like we're getting like 2 years out of this engine and
Yeah.
it's popping.
Yeah.
People they
And they were
strap these
like,
turbos
and like,
to-
what if we lowered the weight in the oil?
yeah. What if we used water instead?
yeah, we went over this with Wes.
Yeah.
All the fucking
Yeah.
oil weights. Go back and watch that episode with Wes. P&R Diesel, shout out.
But yeah,
yeah, the
and
fucking
now
weights
they're,
in weights
they're
in the
selling
oil.
that to fucking the average consumer who can't be asked to like bother to remember that cars do in fact need oil changes.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. You would think it would go the opposite way, where they would start to think about,
Hey,
like,
how about this? Like, we've got all this technology. Let's take a car that runs on 5W30. It has 9-to-1 compression, and it just never needs maintenance.
can't have that.
No. Yeah, sure, it only makes 150 horsepower, but you never have to fucking touch the thing.
Yeah, I bet it goes into like their like,
And it gets 40 miles per gallon because we gave it VVT.
yeah. I bet it goes into their leasing model. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a big conspiracy guy, but like I like to think of
It's
like,
not even a conspiracy. That's just how do we make more fucking money?
yeah, it's not a conspiracy until it is a conspiracy. You know, I love when people like try to like
No,
You know, pull
got
teeth
that
on that.
backwards. It is a conspiracy until suddenly it's not.
yeah. Well, however, I mean, depends on what side you're looking at it from.
No, because
No,
putting
because one side-
chemicals in the water making the frogs gay was a crazy Alex Jones thing until we realized, oh shit, some of the chemicals that we do put in water do make frogs go from male to female. It's not exact, but it fucking rhymes.
Yeah. Yeah.
The amount of times that man has been right is not 100%. It's nowhere close to that, but it is concerning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wow, that was a weird tangent.
Yeah, we're off in conspiracy land. I don't even have my tinfoil hat.
Damn it. Well, what I was gonna say, I think I think I'm gone. I think I'm gone on that. All right,
Fucking cooked.
I fucking cooked.
Anyway,
on that.
if you go back to the screen, because we paused it right here, I just want to go back to that whole racing thing. This is what racing should look like.
yeah,
We should have, and the Australian's going to hate me, but I think that's Commodore. A Commodore racing a 70s Celica.
yeah. Remember the Volvo in the I'm so sorry, I said Volvo. The Alfa Romeo, because that's what I said at the beginning of this video. Remember the Alfa Romeo, that the teal one that Jeremy had on Top Gear? They did the Alfa Romeo challenge. They ended up at a car show for Alfa Romeos at the end.
Oh, God.
And James had a really, really nice one. They put cheese into his air vents.
I remember the cheese. I don't remember what Jeremy was driving, though.
Yeah, but he was driving a 4-door Alfa Romeo that has that same sort of body line. So dude, this thing's all stickered up, as you can see from this, but I'll change it back. But that thing's super stickered up. But yeah, open up another tab, and I don't know if you can try to figure that out. But but yeah, so it was very close to what he had.
It wasn't one of these.
Those are sweet. No, those are the awesome ones. This was far newer. This is 90s.
Newer?
Yeah, it's 90s, I think.
It was a sedan?
Yeah, but you're gonna get new ones.
New shit, yeah.
Just put in Top Gear, Alfa Romeo, Jeremy. I don't know. But anyway, it was super close to that, so that's why I thought that that was it. That is not it.
That's not it?
No, that is not it.
So it wasn't a GTV 6.
No, not that either.
Because there he is standing next to it.
No, that's not the one that he. I mean, he may have like reviewed that one, but
All right, hang on.
Top Gear. There we go.
Alpha
no, not
Romeo
the C.
Challenge.
Yeah. Aha! There it is. Look at that thing.
This thing?
Yes.
That was his?
Yeah, that was Jeremy's that he painted himself.
There it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, what is that?
So
Alfa
look,
Romeo
go to this
75?
picture. Go to that picture.
Yeah, an Alfa Romeo
But-
75.
You know, if you stickered it up and you made it crazy, that kind of seemed like it was close.
Oh, damn it. I used the tab with the...
Yeah, no, it's fine. But people got it. But yeah, so that's why when I first saw it, I was like, damn, are they racing one of those? Because he had a terrible time with his. It was not a good.
Here it
car.
is being pushed by
Yes.
one
Yeah.
of the other guys. I forget who drove what. God, I
That was Hammond behind
That's
him.
Hammond?
Yeah, and Hammond,
Yeah.
his water pump went, and so he had a.
He's
a
sitting there
hand-
cranking
he had
it
a
by hand.
hand
I
crank.
remember that.
Yeah. So and his died, and then
And James had
James
this
had
thing.
that, which was actually really nice. Yeah, it was really
And-
nice, and
yeah.
they put cheese in his.
Yeah, they put cheese in the vents.
Yeah, dude. So
Actually, Taste Friday, right?
yeah, it's
Last
out.
episode of the Grand Tour.
Yep. Yeah, it's a
I
good.
haven't
segue.
seen it yet. I have
Yeah.
not seen it yet.
Me neither.
I am going to watch it tonight.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Supposedly, it's going to make us cry.
Yeah, I saw Buckley already posting stuff about it.
I'm not.
Shout out
not
Buckley.
clicking on it.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, he just posts like little like snippets of it, but yeah,
It's an end, it's the end of an era.
yeah,
It
it's
really
gonna make
is.
us cry.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And-
And like, dude, so we talked about this before. I have the Samsung TV and it has Top Gear on
Me
it.
too.
Like literally upstairs. I don't know if you heard, but like Top Gear is playing right now in my living room. Like it just plays nonstop. I love it so much. And like I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I remember there being multiple times where like I loved watching a TV show and then I would just be like, you know what? I need a break from that TV show. I would watch something else. And then I would go back to watch that other TV show I liked, and it was off the air. Never came back onto television.
No, I know. What
And I
you're-
don't know how they track on who's watching what, you know? Like, how do they know
Yeah,
Friends?
I was.
How do they...
I was the last one keeping this show alive.
That's what I thought, man. Like,
No.
I literally thought that. And
No,
so...
I understand what you're saying, but I've dealt with that with retail goods. Like I swear,
it's a different market. I don't
It-
know.
it is a different
I don't know
market,
if they
but
like do they
I swear-
track, how do they track TV shows?
Nielsen ratings.
How does that happen? Does someone know what I'm watching?
No. I mean, with smart TVs now, maybe, but back in the day with cable, Nielsen ratings, they would like send a sample size of people. So, like, I don't know what the sample size was, but they would send it out to random families, like a box that would record what they watched on TV.
What?
And they use that to, like, extrapolate, like, oh, well, out of our sample size, this many people tuned into this program, so its ratings are this.
That's insane. I've never heard of that. I never got one.
I haven't gotten one either, but I did have them mail me something asking me if I watched whatever, and if we responded, we would possibly get like $5. Literally, me and Fluff both, because we have the same address, got envelopes from like the Nielsen Rating Foundation, whatever the fuck it is. I don't remember
Really?
what it's called, and there was like $1 bill in there. And they're like, "Here's $1 if you fill, just for your time." Look at this, fill it out. If you fill out this survey and mail it back, you'll get like 5 more.
Boy, take your hat off.
Literally-
That's a $1 bill.
Literally got like $1 bill in an envelope.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this because I've always wondered how they can gauge TV ratings because it's like who's taking a poll? I've never taken a poll to be like what I watch. Like, do they know what I'm like changing my channel to? I've
Yeah, Nielsen Media Research.
I've never
It
understood
measures
that.
media audience.
But you
That's
have
what
to
they do.
have this box and clocked into your TV.
think that's what
like
it
what the
was.
fuck? That's crazy.
The audience meter, blah, 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 blah. It attached to a television and recorded the channels viewed. Yeah.
Dude. So that's the only way.
That's how they used to do it. Like I said, with smart TVs and like streaming services, they know what you're fucking watching now.
That's weird. That's so weird. And like, so what's even more weird is that like TV is not popular now, and it hasn't been.
Cable's not.
Right. That's what I mean. But yeah.
Yeah, it's streaming services
cable
now, which is
television.
morphing
Yeah.
into
Cable
with
television is
ads,
not. Yeah.
like line go up and shitification, all that shit we've talked about.
Right. So like, how do they know? You know, because like movies obviously easily tangible, but like TV, it was like, how do you know if a TV show's doing good?
Yeah, cable television specifically.
Yeah.
Cable and broadcasting, not broadband broadcasting.
Right. Yeah.
Over the air. And yeah, you would need the autometer is what they called it. Audience meter, autometer.
Yeah.
And it would plug into your TV and just record what you were watching.
Dude, that's crazy. It's crazy. Like, I mean, I don't know how many people like they sent it out to.
Yeah, like
but,
I said, there was a sample size. I don't know what it was. I do not feel like Googling it.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that like imagine like your job relies on like who these people sent these things to. How did they even decide?
It was, I assume, random, so they could get like the most randomized,
Sure.
you know,
I know,
representative.
but I mean, imagine
thing,
the
yeah.
number. Imagine the number.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like 10,000 or something.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's how they used to do it. Bro, a lot of things back in the day before like digital and internet tracking, it was very analog and very manual and
Yeah.
very labor intensive.
Yeah.
We've come a long way.
Yeah.
You know, I am an old soul. I will, be an old man screaming at clouds from my lawn. But I also can acknowledge like electronics have simplified a lot of shit.
Sure.
Especially as a car guy, you look at shit from the 90s with the spaghetti mess of vacuum lines and actuators versus nowadays where it's all solid state electronics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, computers suck to deal with,
Yeah.
but they simplify a lot of shit at the same
Yeah.
time, which is why I think late 90s, early 2000s, peak perfect balance of mechanical simplicity and electronic simplicity.
Mm.
You know, it's OBD2, so you can get live data, so you can like monitor sensors and what they're doing. But in the early 2000s, you'd have a computer working your fucking Windows.
Yeah. Dude, here's a fun transition to that. It just reminded me, like, why did engines get ugly today?
Monies and sound deadening. So, like, the old school metal valve covers, they look great. They don't muffle, like, valve train noise. But if you have a plastic thing on top of that with mounting points for another plastic cover with foam behind it, now it's quiet.
Yeah.
And because you have a cover over it, you don't have to care what it fucking looks like. You can just make the cover look nice.
Yeah. I would appreciate if they made the covers look better. Like a big plastic sheet.
I would.
Like, especially somebody who works at Lexus.
I don't. Well, yeah. Lexus went overboard, which is stupid because who's looking under the hood of a Lexus? Not the customer.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
back to what I
God
was saying,
forbid, like it was like God forbid if they popped it, they didn't want anybody.
yeah,
to,
God forbid it looks like a mechanical, greasy, oily mess.
like what is
the
under?
hell past the
What the
touch.
hell is under my hood?
No, it's got to be
Yeah.
clean enough to eat off of.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with let's make the plastic covers look nice because then you get the weird shit where Kia and Hyundai made the plastic cover imply that it was a longitudinally mounted engine, but it was transverse mounted. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Specific? Okay.
I don't. But like,
Let's see.
And not that I don't appreciate the
2004
effort.
Kia Sportage engine bay.
it's not that I don't enjoy the fact that they at least tried.
Okay, maybe it wasn't. Yeah. So, plastic cover is, laid out this way.
There you go.
You see that, but which way is that alternator facing?
Yep.
And underneath it, it's transverse, but the thing is supposed to make it look longitudinal. That's why I don't want them to put any more effort into engine covers because then you get shit like that. Plastic covers. Just make the valve cover and
Okay, but my only thing is, I mean, I feel like that looks better than what the engine looked like. Oh, but yeah, we go back to this.
V6 Honda Accord. This is an economy car. Look at that intake.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the valve cover's not super visible, but look at that. That's
Yeah.
nice. And then, personally, I think the Honda B series is one of the best looking engines.
Oh yeah.
Honda B series, Honda H series,
SR20.
SR20 is a
God's
good looking
engine.
engine. Was that you that said the 4G63 was an ugly looking engine?
No. I definitely not ugly. But it was it didn't seem like they cared. I didn't think that they cared.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look that bad.
I would say with all the vacuum lines and all the
Well,
nonsense.
that's
that
90s.
it's a
We're going
pretty-
back to the 90s.
Excuse me, go back to the B series. Same era.
Well, the
same,
B series,
same origin from
B
country.
series was never turboed. You want to
Maybe
look at
that
it,
has a
fucking-
little bit to do with it. But ooh, go ahead, because I like this. It looks good. Fuck you.
It might look good, but holy fucking
you.
lines,
Nissan.
Batman.
No, there's not that many lines. There's not nearly. I mean, there's a lot. There's a
I
lot, but you
remember-
can't see as many. Dude, it's a fucking.
Okay, it
it's
wasn't-
a fucking 4-cylinder.
No, it
And
isn't. That's
no.
a V6 twin
No,
turbo.
I'm
my
talking
dude.
about 4G63.
4G63.
Yeah. That's a 4-cylinder, and it had all these fucking vacuum lines. And so, like, now you're taking this, like, this is, like, also newer. Okay? So, like, this is actually a couple years newer.
Is
but,
it? The 4G63 ran into the late 90s. Excuse me, Evo 9.
Not the pull up an Evo 9 engine bay. I think it's different.
It's still 4G63.
But it's not the one you pulled up.
I just typed 4G63.
And then just do engine bay. I'm telling you, dude, it looks different. Boom, bitch. It looks different. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. What vacuum lines, ho? There's one going across.
That's
one
a throttle
the one that
cable,
you
actually.
picked. Yeah. But look at that. That's right. That looks good.
Headers are nice.
Yeah. It's very simplified.
Yeah,
So
because
now-
technology
Now,
advanced.
to your point, yes, it advanced. But all what we were talking about was like just the 4G63, blah blah blah, and we all know that like if we're comparing it to the same '90s engine that I'm comparing to, the B series, then it's like, bro, they
'cause
they
that was
dropped the ball.
That was a relatively
just-
simple engine.
Just admit that they dropped the ball.
I don't think it was ugly.
Or that, bro, if you're looking at the Evo 9, look at that. Wait. I want everyone to see this actually because you pick a really good picture because that is a really, really good
That
looking
is a
engine.
nice
bay.
engine bay.
That is a good engine bay.
Hang on, let's see what Mitsubishi was doing.
So all I'm saying is that like you cannot say that it's the same. And I don't care if it had to have this or it didn't because it was turboed. I'm just saying that like it's whatever the fuck it is. That's how they designed it.
What I'm saying is that considering the fact that they had to have all this extra shit for the turbo and the
you're just
vacuum lines and
making
all
an
that,
excuse.
they did the best they could. That valve cover looked nice.
And I said that it was okay. It's just not good.
It's better than what we got now.
Yeah, that's how the discussion. You're dancing around this. I'm right.
I'm just saying
I'm
that
right.
you said the
It's not as
4G63
good.
was ugly.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ugly.
Comparison to the 90s. Let's go.
Comparison to the 90s?
Yeah, the shit that was going on in the 90s, Honda had it all day.
Because they had simpler engines. They had VTEC.
Okay.
That was the only complication.
I don't care.
I'm just saying that Mitsubishi did not put the effort in. They did put the effort in. It looked nice for what they could get out of it. You find a way to make those vacuum lines look nice.
I don't make engines.
Exactly. Your opinion's invalid.
Neither do you. Your opinion's invalid. What I'm saying is that like if you want to compare engine bays from the 90s, that one's
All right, what's on the
okay.
turbo 4-cylinder then?
From the 90s. And I'm unprepared for this. You've caught me off guard. But all I am saying is that like who you didn't say like who has the best turbo engine?
No, I'm just saying
engine
it's not
bays.
ugly.
You said like who's got the best engine bays, and you were like, oh yeah, this engine bay looks good. And like whether it looks bad because it has a turbo or not, like I don't care. It does not look good. That's all I'm saying. Like, I understand that they had to make it look ugly because of... If they had to make it ugly because of the turbo, I understand. That's fine. But just because they had to make it ugly because of the turbo does not make it...
I just don't think that looks that ugly.
Adrian, I said it looked okay. When we talked about it,
Well,
I
I brought this
said
up
it looked
because at
okay.
some point somebody, and I thought it might have been you, said that it was ugly.
I may have said it was ugly.
Look, there's your fucking 90s engine bay.
But maybe it's...
That's
maybe
a
it's-
TSI Talon.
Maybe it's just okay. Oh, yeah.
That's the stockest one I could find.
I still think it's okay.
I don't think it's ugly.
I said it's okay. I mean, what year? What year would you say? Is it if it was like
That year.
okay, so 91 to 94, I think. So if you go to the same thing, Honda Civic Si,
91. Well, that's going to be a D series
ooh,
in America.
Both would still look good.
Yeah, D series are a decent looking engine.
Good looking engine.
Better than the R series.
Yep.
And on that we can agree.
Yeah. Which also goes back in a circle where people would just stop giving a fuck.
What was it? The R18? Oh wait, no, that's a BMW motorcycle. Very good looking bike, but
Yeah. Ooh wee. Yeah, not good.
yeah, they just
Not good.
care. The K series was the last good looking Honda engine
Yeah.
because it had a metal valve cover,
Yeah.
and then it switched to Earth Dreams Direct Inject.
Yeah. Which honestly I do love the look of the K series. It's a good look.
It's
You
a good
pop a
look.
hood, you see a K series, it looks good.
It's a good look. I still like the B better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The B and the H, both.
Yeah.
They look very similar. The H is just bigger.
Yeah. It's always on a little bit of a tilt. It's got this
Yeah.
like chest puffing kind of like a
And technically the F, if you want to talk about like the F23
Oh,
blue
that one's the
tops.
best. I'm telling you, we talked about it in the last pod where I'm like, dude, I need an F20 full drivetrain.
Well, no,
and something cool.
F20
or
is
whatever the fuck.
closer to the K series. I'm talking about the F23 blue top.
Oh no, H23. H23.
Oh god.
Show them.
F23 Honda. Was it the F23 or F22? There's a dual overhead cam F engine.
Looks like I think it's a single cam engine that came.
No,
in
there
the
is a dual
Prelude.
cam version.
I think the F22 and all that stuff is all the single cam stuff that came in the
Honda
Preludes.
F engine blue top. There it is. Jesus Christ. That says H23. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Okay,
it's
it
an
might
H.
be an H23.
Yeah, I think
the
it's
blue
an
top
H.
might be an H, but
Yeah,
still, like that's a
yeah. I was pretty
good-looking
sure all
engine.
the
No, there
the-
is a dual cam F engine that's in.
I don't think so, dude.
Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. You
Maybe
take the
mixing it
F. You take the F23 single cam block and put an H head on it.
That's
Holy
what it
shit.
is.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the nickname was like the G23 Torque Monster.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the F23 block still played nice with the H to B adapter, so you could put F23 block, H22 head,
Yep.
B series
This is
transmission,
sounding more familiar.
drop it in your Civic Integra CRV.
Yeah, you were thinking about it.
I was very much thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good engines. I think they just didn't have enough of them, for it to make sense
if
for the
I
aftermarket
if
support.
I remember correctly, this was your bargain basement. Like
no.
this was the bargain one because for whatever reason they were cheap on like JDM Engine Depot.
Well, because there's no aftermarket support, so you could swap it, but then what?
I mean-
they made turbo kits, and like it was more expensive.
Well, that's the
but
thing,
like,
like,
where do
any-
you go after you turbo it when like you can't put pistons?
You had the aftermarket.
or if they do make it, it's going to be expensive because there's not enough people.
You had
buying
the
it.
same aftermarket for this engine as the Prelude, but in the U.S. market, everyone was like, "Oh, I want the H22 out of the Prelude," so
Right.
they completely ignored the H23 blue top.
Out of their
That's what
Accord.
it was. Holy shit! I think there was a single cam H23, and the blue top was the dual cam version. But people were just like, "Oh, H23, that's a shit engine."
Yeah.
But if you got the blue top, you basically
Dual
got
overhead cam. Yeah.
yeah. You basically
VTEC.
had What the fuck was this caption? F20B? That's on F. Is it? I'm confused. I haven't looked at Honda engines for fucking ever.
Yeah, it does feel like we're in a little bit of a gray area
Wait,
on Hondas.
F20? Blue top? Oh, hang on. I might have this all kinds of wrong. I mean, I was not wrong about the G23 torque monster. F20 blue top. Yeah, I guess it is an F20. Yeah, okay. Let me retract everything I said because I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. It's been forever. But then this one right here says 2.3 liter.
We're going to reel it back.
Yeah, I don't know. Blue tops are
Yeah,
now
so if
a
anyone's
fucking
watching
razor.
this and has any kind of knowledge, chime in, chat. But we will get back to you. Because I do think that there was some other stuff we wanted to get into.
Okay.
But honestly,
F20B
you know what?
blue top is a D-stroked H22 to 2 liters. So, yeah, but I remember they were a bargain. And you would get like 200 horsepower factory.
I'm going to pee real quick.
We should move on to other... We're going to keep this a car episode. We've been
I like
going
it.
on like cars and shit for the entire thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to like racing and things related to that. As Americans, red-blooded Americans, our favorite engines are V8s, and the LS engine is one of the most common swaps. But I almost think this is sacrilegious to say because I acknowledge that the LS engine is usually the best engine to drop into something because of its availability, packaging power, all of that good shit. But if it's not the most boring V8 America makes when it comes to sound,
Yeah.
so many other V8s we've made sound so much better, and minus the fact we put the something else we've talked about, the 8 to 8 to 4 to 1
Yeah.
headers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, minus that,
Yeah.
the LS is like the default V8 sound, and I don't mean that just because it's the most common, because it is the most common, and again for good reason.
Right.
But it's that low baritone roar.
Yeah.
But that's all it is.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this a bit before, and when we were like trying to figure out what we were even going to talk about. 1960s, 70s, up to the 90s, Ford small blocks, high RPM, I think are among the best that America has to offer in terms of just sound.
Yeah.
Like the old 289 built for fucking high speed.
Yeah, which I had no idea what even a 289 was. I had no clue until you brought it up just before the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you that one video of like a 66 like Shelby GT350. It's that white one with the blue stripes.
Oh, yeah.
Sacrilegious, but I don't remember what the factory engine is. But I know that one had a 289 that was stroked out to a 302. So it wasn't actually a Ford 302, a Ford 50, but it was a 289 that was stroked, but also built for high revs. And my God, that thing sounds magical.
Fuck yeah.
And yeah,
Dude, give us a little hitter.
yeah, we've got another video pulled up here of a 289 built for high RPM.
Yeah, give us this little hitter.
Hang on, let me go back a little farther. I love it. It sounds so angry.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, and it touches on something else that we've talked about before, like a cross-plane crank V8 revving high. It's not natural, but it sounds great.
Fuck yeah.
And then, you look at the Hemis, the Dodge Hemis, the current ones even, and they sound sweet. Like, back when the Camaro and the Challenger first came back out, and the Mustang never went anywhere, I remember it was like either Motor Trend or Car and Driver, Road and Track. One of those like big publications did a comparison, as you do, and they described the Hemi from the Challenger as like caramely, and I was like, oh man, that's like I can see that.
Yeah, it's like weirdly
It's
accurate.
thick but sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, Dodge Rams, when they drive by, like they always kind of like grab my attention for a second before I realize it's a Ram, and I'm like, man, that sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, even as a kid, I remember like when
Well, you remember Fody's trucks?
Right, yeah. And so like when I was a kid, like when that truck first came out in like 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's when it was like I remember I was at a friend's house, and one of like his dad's friends was always somebody who had like a new truck, like brought that over, and it was brand new. and he's like showing us the truck, and then he was only there for like an hour and then left. But before he left, he just did like a burnout down the whole thing, like the whole street that he lived on. And I was like, I need that. I fucking need that.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, I became like just infatuated. Like obviously as you get older, then those same trucks you're like,
Yeah, then you realize,
they're not
they
as
rust, the
great.
dash cracks. It's a Chrysler product, so the transmission's good for 30,000 miles at best.
Yeah. But imagine being one of those guys who gets to buy it new.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Like,
you got a
damn.
warranty. You don't care.
Yeah. And I think it was at least because I think the first one he bought was that blue, that baby blue.
I know exactly what blue you're
Yep.
talking about.
Yeah. And I think like a year or two later, he had one that was like a maroon.
You're like, oh, that's a different truck.
Yeah, yeah. But the same exact
But it
looking
had that
truck.
sweet Hemi sound.
Dude.
Sweet and thick, just like
Yeah.
caramel.
Yeah. What does that?
Fuck if I know.
Caramel.
Yeah. And then, the Ford engines, they've always erred on the side of smaller,
Yeah.
than the LS. Like the LS has always been like a 350. So what's that, a 5.3 or a 5.7?
Yeah.
I forget the exact conversion. But then you got Ford, who's rocking a 5.0 or a 4.6. And again, maybe it's the size, but they were always a bit more musical, a bit more melodic. Like the pitch changed throughout the RPM
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
And again, like an LS doesn't sound bad. Everyone likes a good V8.
Yeah.
My Buick's definitely not musical. It just roars.
Yeah. It's
that-
V8. It's V8 noise.
Yeah,
It's like it's the
Baritone, it's bassy,
Right.
and it means business.
Yeah.
But then you've got like the Hemi's just got this sweet note to it, and the Ford's like melodical. I don't know. There's going to be plenty of people who disagree with me, but
Yeah. No. I fully agree because I've always thought that because I think that like to add on to what you say like LS engines, the platform have always sounded good, but there's just like nothing that's like bad. But then all these other V8s just have
they have
this,
something
like,
a little extra.
it's like what is that? And so what is this engine you were talking about?
Oh, the Ford, the old Ford 289.
Yeah.
And I know I don't know the origins of that engine itself, but I know like with the Mustang, that was the first V8 they put in it. You could get the Ford, like I think it was the 300 straight six, and that was like the base engine. And if you wanted the V8, you got a 289. And just like I've seen people build the 289, and it might not be the fastest thing, but it's a 289, so it's a small V8. It's relatively light, especially for the era. And they just sound so good when you built them for revs.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I mean, like, it might be... It's not a size thing, though, because the Hemis are 5.7s and 6.2s and all that. And they've got their
it's
own
just-
distinct sound
It's
to them.
crazy that there's such a distinction in the noise of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
a lot of
pretty-
manufacturers have a distinct sound to them. Like, whether you love them or hate them, the VQ series from Nissan has a very distinct
Hate
sound.
them.
I actually like it.
I mean, hate it.
When you straight pipe it and it's just a straight up trumpet, it's like, well, yeah, it's not great, but it does have that like melodic sound to it where it changes drastically throughout the RPM range. So you get a good muffler on there to kind of rein it in a bit. I do think.
I think
it
there's only
sounds
like
nice.
one good muffler. It might be Apexi.
Well, I mean, that's
Or-
the same thing with Honda. You get
Yeah.
the Apexi. I think it was Apexi WS2 and all of the clones. Like I had a Yanaka on my CRV, and it was a clone of the WS2.
WS2.
And that was the only muffler that sounded good. If you got a fart cannon, it sounded awful.
Yeah.
Although Honda's, their strength was always, for me at least, induction noise, not
Yeah.
exhaust.
Yeah, and like the difficult part is always getting it to have like a deep tone, which is why I love the KA 24DE in the 240. So like in my car,
Yeah.
it was just like it gets kind of crazy, like the deep tones that come from it.
And again,
because
though,
it's a little truck engine.
Again, though, do you know if that is the engine or if that's just something Nissan did with the exhaust?
Well,
Same thing with the VQ.
So now Nissan didn't do anything with that exhaust.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Are you 100% positive?
because every piece of it's not
Because a simple header
Nissan's.
swap makes a Honda engine sound just like a Subaru.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that like nothing on that is Nissan.
Well, on yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think they sound very good stock. and I'm like, I would say that like if you just cut the muffler off, it's probably all bad. You know what I mean? Like it's like I would say like generally speaking, it's probably all bad. But yeah, like I mean, and like my car, I don't know who makes the header. The header's pretty interesting. But the rest of the exhaust is a Reinhardt exhaust, which is like super high end.
Yeah, I was going to say Reinhardt's a good brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you sure it's the KA?
Well, okay, but I would say that I've heard a lot of KAs, and the majority sound good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely some KAs that they don't sound so good.
Is it that the manufacturers that happen to make aftermarket mufflers for the KA just have a different way of making their mufflers than the people who make, well, like for example, DC Sports for Hondas? Because, you know, that was what Pep Boys always had in that one aisle that you really should never go down.
Maybe. I think there might be, obviously there has to be a little bit of that, because you can mess up a good thing, but I think it's just because you're dealing with a 2.4. You know, it's a 2.4 liter, you know, and like...
Yeah, but the SR20 also...
It's 2 liter. That's a huge difference,
Yeah.
right? So like...
But a K24 can sound like a can of angry bumblebees.
not as, but it's something that's harder to fuck up, right? So like...
Is it, though?
Yes, I think so. I think there's less KA. I mean, obviously, if you straight pipe to KA, it's gonna sound like shit. Mm-hmm. If you straight pipe to a K20 or like whatever comes in like the Civic, I think it was
a K20 if you had the SI.
A2 or whatever. So yeah, so if you straight pipe a K20, also sounds like shit. But like if you put like the correct exhaust on it, like it just like a
So what you're saying is the exhaust makes the difference.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess it does boil down to that.
There's so many variables. I don't know how big a part they each play.
Yeah. But okay, but what I'm saying is that like even if you have the right exhaust on a K20 and have the right exhaust on a KA 24D, the difference is crazy.
Okay, so
where like a K24,
let me ask you,
hang on, what I'm saying is a K24 sounds way better than any K20
Well, let me ask
exhaust.
you this. Could you tell the difference between a K20 and a K24? Not a KA24, a K24.
That's a good point. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something
Because
going on there.
that's something that I
Maybe?
haven't paid attention to be honest. And I've never seen like the lineup of the two, but what I can say is that there is a good little growl to those, you know, and like a good comparison. What my favorite thing is that like a 1JZ is a 1.5 or 2.5 liter, and a KA24 is a 2.4 liter.
Yeah, but it's a 6-cylinder,
I know,
and that makes a big difference.
it does make a big difference. But if you think about it,
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of crazy.
And again,
they have like almost the same displacement.
We're circling back to like, what is making the difference?
What's
here?
making the noise?
Yeah.
Yeah. What makes the noise difference is because like obviously
Yeah,
a
K24
1J,
and a KA24 should sound very similar, but I feel like they don't.
yeah, they definitely don't.
And I'm not sure if it's because like typically the exhaust manufacturer, like even the aftermarket exhaust manufacturers have something figured out for the KA24 that the the people making exhaust for K24s haven't figured out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they are like they're both Japanese 4-cylinders, but like the brands that you find for Nissan are typically different
Oh yeah.
than the brands you find for Honda.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
And again, a simple header swap makes an LS sound like a Ferrari, or a Honda sound like a Subaru, or a Subaru sound like a
Honda.
typical 4-cylinder
Yeah.
Honda.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know,
your boxer rumble is a lie.
yeah.
I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
It's all header.
Yeah. I know that is kind of it is crazy to think that like that's how much nuance there is to an engine.
But what makes a J35 sound different from a VQ35?
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. That's another huge example cuz like dude, I'm like to
A
double back to
J35
that.
sounds very vanilla for a V6.
Mhm.
Like it really is a very plain sound. It's a good sound.
Yeah.
But it's a plain sound.
Yeah,
And then you've
but
got
I would
the
I would associate
VQ35
it-
trumpet.
Yeah, I would associate like a J35 being like closer sounding to like a K24.
Yeah, they sound real close to a 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
Like they got that high pitched rasp to them, but it's not. It's a lot more refined
Or even like
than a
a
4-cylinder.
like a
It still sounds like a 6-cylinder, but
Yeah.
it still leans hard towards Honda.
yeah, but even like a KA24 like it even has like that kind of like deep note, you know?
Yeah, but then you hear a VQ35 and you're like,
I hate my life. I hate them
you
so
wanna hear-
much.
here's a real fucking hot take that's gonna have people hating me.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo V6s are lauded for how they sounded, like the Busso and all that. I think they sound real similar to the VQ series of V6s, but because they're Italian, people give them a pass. Like, oh yeah,
We like the raspy
like
noise.
it's European and sophisticated, and then they hear the VQ and like it sounds like a fucking someone's farting in a trumpet.
Yeah, you know I think
To
the
quote
V-
Fluff,
Yeah.
he says that those Alfa Romeos, they sound like an angry cat. They got that wow noise to them. That's what a VQ sounds like to me.
That's what a VQ. The VQ has the, you know, when like a pickup truck like just cuts off the tailpipe,
well,
just like a muffler delete, and you get like the
Well,
like the like pop 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 pop
I'm not
pop
even
pop.
talking about that.
But
I'm just
no,
talking about
but
the tone it makes.
Well, that's what okay, fine, tone, but like because like that tone is fine with me, but it just has this like, grrr, you know, kind of like weird like burble to it.
I don't
where,
know,
like
because,
the
the-
V8s
The American V6s to me always sound kind of
raspy.
raspy and broken. Like, what's a good example? Okay,
Also,
so
by the way, I do want to like share my jet fuel with you. I know you've been
The
up
fuck
for
is that?
You've been up for hours. This is it's a Celsius.
oh,
just-
is it, what?
Yeah, so they
I
sell.
watched you add ice and water to that. That's not Celsius.
Well, they sell Celsius in a
little powder thing?
little powder pack, and it's just cheaper. So that's how we've been doing around the house.
Oh.
So if you want some rocket fuel, you might as well.
Well, I'm not a fan of rocket fuel. I'm a fan of battery acid.
That's
Yeah,
in there.
Red Bull.
That's in there. It's in there. Well, because
It
it,
doesn't smell bad.
it's orange. It's really nice, to be honest. But yeah, like so to add on to your point,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
dude, it's rocket
Is
fuel.
that what
Just
Celsius in a can
have
tastes like?
Yes, have another sip. Because it's gonna keep us going through this. Because you've been up forever. By the
Oh,
way.
I'm fucking fired up right now. We're fine.
All right, fine.
Yeah, I've been up since like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I've been worried about.
it's 5:22 right now.
Yeah.
So
So that's what I've been worried about while we were doing this. I was like,
Jesus Christ, I've been up for 14 hours straight.
so that's what I've been worried about. I was like, does Adrian need some help? I just didn't want to leave you high and dry because I'm having some extra energy myself and I've got lots of sleep. So, but anyway, so yeah, the VQ exhaust, there's a few, or there's like one exhaust that I know of, which I'm forgetting, but I think it's a Pexi, that like smooths out that like
Takes the edge off of it.
burbly rasp out of it, and because like even like with an exhaust and like mufflers and like a nice setup, it still has this like it's like as if it's underwater. Like it's gurgling out what that would sound like, you know what I mean? So like, and I fucking hate it. And, and like honestly, like when I wanted to get back into drifting and like doing all this stuff, like I thought about like a 350Z or G35 is such a smart idea. Like they just work.
Yeah,
you know, and it's a new
they're
chassis.
cheap right
Yeah,
now.
there's less rust, you know.
Yeah.
So like it just made sense. But like I'm like I fucking hate them, like you know. And I'm also like I'm not the biggest fan of the way they look. Both the 350Z and the G35.
I like the 350. The 370 that came after it, I think, was a bit too pointy and aggressive, like unnecessarily.
I'm more for the 370.
Nah.
But either all of them, you know, any of them. As soon as you put aero on them, they just look like. To me, what it looks like is like if you had like a table with a bunch of nice stuff on it, and then you threw like a blanket over them. If that makes any sense.
I kind of
Like-
get what you're saying, and I can kind of see that for the G35, but I
Both
think
of them. Like,
no, I think
especially,
the 350 with good
the
arrow looks
350Z
really
just
good.
looks it just there's so much body that comes down, and it's all just so flat and just like very mute.
Well, no,
it's
see,
like a mute body line.
very
There's
demure.
Yeah, like I
Sorry,
don't.
the brain rot's getting to me.
And people, yeah, people also reference the 350Z looking like a computer mouse. Look at that computer mouse. 350Z.
It's giving Porsche 911.
A little bit, actually, yeah, as well.
But
But
no. I understand what you're saying about how like someone draped a blanket over the car.
yeah,
I see that
There's
more
no
for the G35
texture.
than the 350Z. And it's not because like the 350Z
Pull
is
'em up.
very smooth.
let's get
But
get
the,
a fresh picture in your head.
But the G35 has more straight lines, more vertical straight lines in the body to me.
No, it doesn't. I promise you.
I promise you it does. We don't need the history of the Ford small block. We're not getting into that at this point.
Today on the podcast, the history of a Ford small block. Welcome. Same, but different.
Yeah,
It's-
but
dude, they're both
but
shitty.
rounder and it
Here,
tucks
just
in
do
more.
do them both again, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The fucking same. Keep going. No, don't stop. Keep going. Back and forth. We're doing-
We've made the
no,
point. They're
let's
very
keep
similar.
making the point. Fast.
I'm going to accidentally hit the X.
Go ahead. It doesn't matter. It's the fucking same
Well, yeah, they're made on the same fucking chassis. What do you want?
character.
I still like this better.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, the cool fucking hatchback is way cooler. Yeah, obviously.
They're both hatchbacks.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
G35 is not a
But
hatchback.
that's not a trunk. It has a hatch. The sedan had a trunk. The four-door. This has a hatch.
No, it does not.
That's a sedan. There's the
Show
trunk.
me the hatch going up.
I'm trying to find a picture.
To be honest with you, I've never even opened up the trunk. I've never had one. That's a trunk.
Okay, that's a trunk. I'm wrong.
Yeah. I was about to say,
I
brother.
could have swore.
Yeah, dude. It's a fucking sedan. It's
Actually,
not.
now that I think about it, I have no idea where I got that idea.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no.
Now that we're back.
I was in a different reality. I
That's
accidentally
okay.
bled into a parallel universe for
That's
a second.
okay. That's okay.
No,
We're back.
But
I was gonna say because like literally we're looking at like an actual hatchback.
no, my issue with the G, not issue, but like the reason why I think this has more blanket styling, despite having maybe a couple more body lines, is that with the 350Z, if I feel like especially at the back, it pulls in more.
Mm-mm.
And this
Look at the
is
back-
just-
go back to the
this is
350Z.
straight out. And when you
No,
get
because you're
when
not
you
looking
get
at
arrow,
the back.
when
You're
you
not
get
looking
arrow,
at the back.
yeah, the 350Z is smoother. It has less body lines.
They
in
both
total.
have the same dumbass body
I
lines.
like the 350Z.
So look, here's my point. Now I'm gonna go off of this because I've been talking some mad
Look,
shit.
that looks real good, bro.
It's decent,
Duckbill and the fender
but
flares.
that's light arrow. That's over fenders and like a very very light arrow.
well, I mean, I don't like this front end when they do the fucking catfish ass
Yeah.
long bumper. I don't like that.
Honestly, to me,
Holy shit. What is going on with this guy?
see, I'm in it for now. Now I'm in it. I'm in on that.
That's extreme.
Yeah,
extreme.
I'm in. Because you changed the car completely. That looks like shit.
That is nostalgia. That is Tokyo Drift. Lower your tone.
Dude, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
That was the bad
So-
guy car anyway.
Yeah. So my thing, I think I like especially the G35 with Aero. I hate it because then it really does look like like you just draped a towel like a thing
No,
over
I
top
get
of
the
like a
vibe
table.
that you're trying to
Yeah.
like put forward. I get
But
it.
like the 350Z carries the same characteristics where like when you put a body kit on it, at least like the majority of like the 90% of the body kits that go on it, they look dumb. But I think by itself, especially like the newer, like the last model 350Z, where it starts to get a little bit
this rolled
stylish.
right out of Need for Speed Underground too.
Oh yeah, I'm pulled up.
Got the Lambo doors. I swear this exact bumper was in Underground too, and the way oversized wide body
Yeah.
flares.
But yeah, so once you get into like that realm, like I think both cars look better without any aero, because as soon as you
want
start
this.
putting aero,
Death cart.
yeah. But as soon as you start putting aero on it, because like the idea that like what aero like most body kits are supposed to do is supposed to like accentuate the body lines of the car and then make it look.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I want you to
But then,
read
hang
this
on, listen
right
to
here.
me, Adrian.
I need you to read that.
I'm talking.
I get that, and what you're saying is great, but I need you to read this.
The idea of a body kit is supposed to accentuate the body lines of the
Uh-huh,
car
yeah.
and then make it look lower. And the problem is that with a 350Z and especially a G35 is that they don't have any body lines. So you end up with this like sheet of car. It's like a sheet of car.
Yes.
And I don't enjoy that. And I when I was picking a car to get back into the car industry, the whole car not industry, but like
the car game, you went
car
with the
game,
one that your friend had for sale that was a really good deal and happened to be an S14, which you love.
and I had before. So yes. Anyway,
But I want you to read that.
custom Nissan 350Z powered by pair of Honda engines. Oh yeah, we went over this on the podcast.
This exact car?
Yeah.
Man, I must have been
At least
drunk.
you know what? We've also had a lot of podcasts. We brought up a lot of just like today. If anyone wants to like take a second look at our tabs we have up here, we got a lot of tabs going on. And we haven't covered a whole lot.
No, we got completely distracted with.
Yeah, so I think, but I saw this on an Instagram post. So there should be 2 K series at the front
Hello.
and the back.
How are you? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. You want to
Yeah, what's it?
make sure you're all the way in there. See, if that was straight whiskey, I would have been.
That's right. I'm getting a lot of spice right now.
Yeah, it's spicier,
Yeah.
but it's not like alcohol burn. It's just actual
no, it's
spice.
like it's yeah. Man, I forgot we put water in that. That was a
Yeah.
while ago.
It was.
Yeah. So if you followed along, you made it this far. Thank you, because we finally tried the whiskey.
I mean, if you followed along this far, you're doing better than us because we fucking forgot.
yeah, we sure did. Yeah, if you made it this far, we're hanging on as well. So fucking more power to you. And if you do, comment the timestamp right now, and I'll send you a free T-shirt. How about that? Call me on it.
Yeah, that only applies for like the first person who does that.
Yes.
If that.
If anyone, if the first person who does do it, it'll be timestamped, and I'll send you a free T-shirt of your choice. So does that have a link to it? Because because this is a good topic, and we did want to bring it up. If we brought it up before, then fine. But this is quite possibly the coolest.
It's the same.
Oh, it's the same one. Yeah, that's cool. Look at that, dude.
It's got a pair
That's
of Honda
definitely. Oh
engines.
yeah, you can see the K series. Is that the fucking big ass intake manifold?
Yep, that's a K. And
Yeah.
then there's another K in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, K24A2s out of
Yep.
an Acura TSX.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, so this is super interesting. I'd love to know how they paired them together.
Two, what the fuck did I just click? Two 5-speed transmissions out of EP3 Civics.
But how do you get those 2 transmissions connected?
You connect both transmissions because they're cable to one linkage. Or to one shifter.
I guess the right word would be synchronized.
I mean, I guess they're both connected. I'm assuming they have the cables just both running to one shifter.
Yeah. But again, like, I mean, we're talking like synchronized. So like you have to like changing a gear one way is taking the gear out of another.
If I
and
were to
putting
do
it-
this,
like,
if I were to do this, I would have.
would
so-
it be mirrored?
No, what you have is you have a shifter, right? and like on the bottom you got the 2 different linkages for the side to side and the forward to back, and coming off of that is 2 cables instead of 1, and one just wraps around to the front and one goes straight to the back, and that's it.
Yeah. So one has to pull and one has to push.
No, not necessarily, because if they're both connected to the linkage and then one just 180s, then they're both moving in the same direction.
I don't know. That sounds problematic.
Not really, because they have to kind of like change direction regardless.
No. You don't know. So I'm saying like when you. That's why I'm saying mirrored, because if you pull like
I know what you're imagining. You're imagining like you got the linkage
first
and
a
you've
second.
got one going that way and one going that way. So now
we have one motion,
Yes.
so that it has to be mirrored.
The engines are both facing the same direction. The transmissions are both spinning in the same direction. The linkages both need to move in the same direction,
Yeah.
right? To go into gear. So you have the gear, or you have the cables just fixed to the same point, coming from the same direction, and then one just 180s that way. It's still gonna, like when you move it this way, it's still going to pull the cables forward. It's gonna pull this one forward. This one's gonna 180 go out there and also pull.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
It's just how they route the cable.
But that's backwards from the way that it actually works.
So yeah, so this one's pushing, this is behind it,
Yeah,
this one's
yeah,
pulling.
yeah,
But if it goes 180 this way and then 180 again, now it's going in the same direction.
Yeah.
It's just how you route the cable.
Yeah. And then like the same thing for like throttle cable.
And that's why cable transmissions are great for like if you want to have front or rear mounted. And that's
Yeah,
why
you have that-
mid-engine cars tend to not be like rod or top load. They tend to be cable, because you can just route the cables wherever the fuck you need them to go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And speaking of which, that reminds me of the time that Fluff did a clutch in his Saturn. And you have to obviously drop the transmission. So
His
you have
plastic clutch cable or a
well,
plastic clutch pedal,
which
Yeah.
broke on us while we were down at
Yeah.
fucking Ocean City,
Yep,
Maryland.
I remember that.
And we shoved like he had copper in the car, like copper wire. He just, I don't know why he had that, but he balled it up and shoved it in there to take up the slack.
Yeah.
And it worked. But
Yeah.
regardless, he needed
I remember that day.
he needed to do a clutch, so he did a clutch, and we're putting it back together.
And of course, that was so late at night, dude.
Yeah, it was
That
like fucking
so
11:30,
late. It was
12
so
o'clock.
late, dude.
But this was back home.
Yeah.
You know, he had his car at the lift at the shop we were working at. And, you know, he had put the clutch in, we were putting it back together, and we went to go put the cables on for the shifter, and we're like, what if we switch them? And it almost reached, like, if we had wanted to spend the time, because we were kind of on a time limit, but if we wanted to spend the time and got creative with some zip ties, we probably could have made it work, but we could have switched the cables so that the side-to-side gate was now the forward-to-back gate.
Yeah.
So what that would do essentially was take your H pattern and turn it 90
Sideways.
degrees.
Yeah.
So to check for neutral, you weren't doing this. You were doing this.
Forward.
So first would have been like back and towards
you.
Second would have been away from you. Third would have been back to center, forward a bit, towards you.
Yeah.
Fourth would have been away from you. And fifth would have been back towards the center, forward and towards you.
Yeah. Which is
like,
kind of nice.
I remember
It's not a bad pattern.
I had held the cable, like I had my fingers like just like holding them together, and had Fluff run through the gears, and it was interesting.
Yeah.
And we were like, shit, we could make this work.
Yeah. And so,
Completely pointless, but it
yeah.
would have been hilarious.
but it's like to your point, that's how manipulable
Cables
cable
are. Yeah.
cable is.
yeah, if like we had decided to like actually switch them on the end of the shifter so that one was longer than the other, we could have made it work, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But that's the whole like benefit of cables. Now, personally, I hate the neutral feel of cables when you're going in between gates. It's always clunky. And then rod linkages, like your Integra and your Civic and my Integra, they were buttery,
Yeah.
and I miss that.
Yeah. Yeah, even my car now, with it being a top load, like I think that might just be the short shifter that's in it.
It's kind
It's not
of
very
notchy.
smooth. Yeah, it's very notchy.
Yeah, my favorite shift.
Like I end up like taking off in third so often. Like it's weird. Like I don't.
No, because I've messed around in your car, and like you have a very tight gate.
And I think it's supposed to be good,
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm
I mean,
like,
it's a short shifter, so like anything that shortens the movement makes it quicker.
yeah. It doesn't, but it also doesn't. It doesn't feel that short.
Well, you haven't driven my BMW.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
That is a long throw for like it. I've
Actually,
had cars with
I'm,
longer.
I'm lying because I remember.
Well,
I don't know what I was doing, but I had just reached into the car, and it was like just because I reached in, it was so much easier. Like it wasn't in gear, and it was just easier to be like put it in second. And I remember like I left it in second, and I got in it again, and it was like in the middle. I was like, I thought it was in neutral, but it's in the middle of my shifter boot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like it's perception.
It is
Yeah.
entirely perceptive.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you drove my CRV with the beer tap for a shifter.
Which was ridiculous. It already had the longest throw, and then you made it literally longer by extending it.
Yeah. But tell me that didn't feel just like right.
It did, well, because when you're driving it, it's so much taller now. Because like they should have had a taller shift
Well,
handle
it's because
itself.
the seat in the CRV was so high off the floor.
Exactly.
So like to have the shifter up towards you, they needed to lengthen it already, which gave it a long throw.
And it wasn't long enough, I didn't think.
But
Stock.
what I'm getting at is
anyway,
like
yeah.
even then, like it felt appropriate, but like the BMW, my 6 Series, it's a short shifter, but the throw is like it's not just long.
Similar.
It's not just
to the
long.
CRV.
The fucking shifter pivots so far. Like it's a short pivot point, but a long throw. So like the shifter
the throw.
falls over.
Yeah.
So you're like the shifter's like 45 degrees that way. Meanwhile, the CRV, I've got a beer tap, and it's leaning like 30 degrees.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you've got to travel far because I've extended the fucking thing.
Yeah, but if you had a protractor,
But the angle hasn't changed much. Meanwhile, my BMW is like,
yeah.
and BMWs have always had shit shifters. For
Yeah.
like the ultimate driving machine, their weakness has always been their shifters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that my E36, and like that was one
Rubbery.
of the. Yeah.
It doesn't feel
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And like it does, like it feels rubbery. Yeah, that's the only way but also, but like to your point, a long throw, because I remember like the same thing. I remember like being able to use all of that shifter
Yeah.
boot area when you're shifting, and
Meanwhile, your Honda, even with the long throws, like click, click, click.
yeah.
And if you put a short
Dude,
throw
those
on it,
clits
then
are
it's
so
just
nice. Yeah.
No, 90s Hondas, best shift feel. And to wrap back to what I was going to say earlier, my favorite shift setup is like a medium length rod shifter setup.
Yeah.
Cables, not a fan. My
Yeah.
CRV had like some of the best cables I've actually experienced somehow. Honda magic. Although the Preludes and the Accords, in my opinion, felt plasticky and gross. My CRV somehow avoided that. And
Yeah.
it wasn't just mine. It was any first-gen CRV. Cable shifted, somehow didn't feel plasticky. Don't understand it. Didn't feel as good as the rod linkage, though. My Integra, your
Yeah.
Integra, your Civic, Vermin Civics, all of them,
Yeah.
that's the best.
Yeah.
It's because I think some of the Mustangs,
It's a good clink.
some of the Mustangs have rod linkage, but they're a short rod, so it's still very direct, and they still basically feel like top loaders. And top loaders to me always felt too direct,
Yeah.
like that feels metally. Like cables feel like you're shifting through plastic. You can feel all the friction of all the plastic components.
Yeah.
Rod linkages feel like you're stirring a bowl of nuts and bolts. They're very metallic, very crunchy. Rod linkages have just enough disconnect to smooth it out, but
Right.
just enough mechanical connection to still feel direct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love rod linkages.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. I've never thought of it that way, but as you're saying it, and like I'm thinking about it, but yeah, because like I feel like nuts and bolts when I'm shifting my car, like the S14
Yeah,
now.
because you got a longitudinal with the transmission behind it, rear-wheel drive. So, yeah, your linkage is either a very short rod or it's going right into the
Yeah.
transmission.
Yeah, but my Civic and my Integra both had this
Buttery snick.
Dude.
Beautiful.
Yeah, almost like snappy,
Yeah.
snappy,
Without being harshly metallic.
crunchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like mine's like even on a good day, it's just crunchy. Like just you could just go play with your all the gears right now. It's just you could feel it.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
I don't know what BMW did. I'm pretty sure they're like they might be rod. They might be short rod, but they've like I don't know if they put like super soft bushings in it or something, but they feel rubbery. They don't feel direct.
Yeah.
And, you know, BMW's weakness for a long time has been their shifter feel. Like the one flaw, because, you know, BMW as much as I rag on German cars for being, they say over-engineered, I say unnecessarily engineered.
Yeah.
They do make great cars
Yeah.
when they work.
Yeah.
And when they work, they are magical.
Yeah.
But BMW shifters always just feel vague and kind of disconnected.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't, because longitudinal engine, rear-wheel drive, that transmission should either be connected via a short rod or a top load, like direct top mount shifter mechanism. It should be metallic. It should be crunchy and direct. They somehow went too far in the other direction and made it rubbery. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one who thinks that.
No, 100%. Yeah, I honestly, like, I mean, I'm always like one of those people that don't like think that much about it, but when you say it, I'm like, dude, yeah, 100%. And like, rubbery is the best word. Which, like, to be honest, like, I didn't mind it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, to be honest, I didn't mind. I was gonna, I didn't mind, like, nothing about it in my E36. And nothing was wrong, but I always wanted like a shorter throw. Which is like kind of akin to what you were saying. I just knew that like I was
weird.
using
It pivots
all,
a lot. It pivots a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And for it being a top load.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. It is funny, but yeah, I mean, I did enjoy it. I thought that it like,
it's
shifted.
not offensive.
It shifted nice, but like it wasn't anything where I thought it was wrong. But like rubbery is a good way to describe that versus, you know, something else. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that, like, in my experience of all the cars I've driven a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Honda has the best shift feel.
Yeah.
They just do.
Yeah. 100%.
Specifically the 90s where they
I was
had
gonna say
rod
they used
linkage.
to.
Well, even then, like, you go to the 8th gen Civic.
Yeah.
And it had a cable shifter, but they did something in that too, where they got rid of that
mechanical
plastically friction. So
it felt. I remember those too. It does. It feels like you're doing something.
So second gen CRV. So this is second gen CRVs, EP3 Civics, Honda Accords of that vintage. So I'm talking like 2001 to like 2005. It's that era of Honda where like
8. I feel like.
Well, the 8th gen started in 2006.
Like 2008 is what I was thinking.
Well, the 8th gen started in 2006. 2008 was still 8th gen. So if you're thinking of that, back to 2006.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
2001 to 2005, Honda has retired all of their models from the 90s, which were legendary. That's the ones that had the double wishbone front suspension, you know, the B series engines, the D series engines, the rod linkage transmissions. That was peak 90s Honda. When you think of 90s Honda, that is what I'm talking about, that era. From 2001-ish, depending on the model. So 2001 Civics were the new generation, but 2001 Integras and CRVs were still the last gen. So 2001 to like 2005. That's the dark ages of Honda. Even the EP3 Civic, which is a good car, still suffered from the same like cost-cutting, quality-cutting measures. Every single Honda that was manual in that era, to me, has felt like plastic. And the only way I can describe it is every single friction point in that shift mechanism is plastic. The ball that the shifter sits in, where it articulates around, is plastic. The cables are sheathed in the shittiest plastic possible. So when you move it, it feels like plastic rubbing on plastic.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I say plasticky.
Yeah.
And a lot of cable shifters feel that way because, fuck it, I don't know. All the bushings are plastic.
Yeah.
After that dark age, 2006, where the 8th gen Civic came out, specifically SI, none of the other Hondas. So the base model Civics were the R18, the Fits, the CRVs were no longer manual, the Honda Element, they still felt plasticky, but the 8th gen Civic SI, they worked their magic again. They fucking dug it all out of the back rooms.
Yep.
And they still felt like cable, where when you go to side in the neutral gate, you can feel that clunk, 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 clunk.
Yep.
But when you were just moving the shifter and ignoring that center gate,
Like a buttery.
it was buttery. It felt,
but then mechanical.
yeah, it feels like metal on well lubricated metal.
Yeah. Yes.
I wish I had the words to describe it better, but
Yeah.
that's the best way. I can
No,
think
dude.
of it.
People who are listening to this, no, like
People
they're,
who have
they're
experienced
going,
it,
they
like,
understand.
fuck it.
Yeah. Because that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm like, yeah. Because like it was the SIs that felt
Yeah.
good.
just the SIs.
Yeah.
But all Hondas, okay, all rod linkage Hondas just had that built into them inherently. You could get a base model Civic with an 8-valve 4-cylinder making 80 horsepower,
Feels good.
4-speed transmission. It had that same direct mechanical feel without being crunchy.
Fuck yeah.
And I have yet to find a single brand that can come close to that. You can have a good transmission,
I know.
but that was peak.
Yeah.
90s Honda was peak for just feel. And another thing that they are completely unmatched in, they're hydraulic racks, hydraulic power steering racks. I have yet to feel another brand that just communicates so telepathically, and the power assist feels so natural. Like 90s Honda power steering doesn't feel like power steering. It just feels like light steering.
Yeah, it just feels like it's how it should feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how, like we all know what unassisted feels like, and like, so it's not unassisted.
Take unassisted, but make it lighter.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not numbed out in any way. I
Right,
remember driving
numb.
through Amish country in my CRV.
Yeah.
And, you know, Amish ride horse and buggies, and horses shit on the road. I remember going over that horse shit in the road and feeling it through the wheel and wanting to wash my hands after. And it wasn't just me. I saw another like pile of shit in the road, and Gage was in the car with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, Gage, grab the wheel. And he
Yeah.
did. And I'm like, hang on. And we went right over that fucking pile of shit. And he was like, ew. And that was a Honda CRV. That was
Yeah.
a fucking soccer mom's car.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a sports car.
Yeah.
But it was based on the Civic chassis. It had Civic suspension. And
It was
Civic
your
rack.
mom's car.
It was my mom's car. But yeah, his
Yeah.
immediate reaction was, ew. And he
Yeah.
pulled his hand off the wheel.
Yeah.
You could feel it squish.
Yeah, I know. And then like,
And I've driven Toyotas from that era. And I've driven Nissans from that era.
it's numb.
It's not, I wouldn't like your cars from that era, your Nissans from that era. I wouldn't say it's numb. It's just not as telepathic. It's not as good.
You should drive my car. I feel like you should.
Well, I drove your S13.
Because I think, yeah, because I think that, I think the power steering is close.
It's probably good.
It's probably good. I think it's
hydraulic
good.
is better
Yeah.
than electric, and like when it comes to the intangible like feel,
Mm-hmm.
touchy feely shit. And
I just
that is
think
a hydraulic rack.
I mean, I haven't gotten an alignment, and I've done a lot to the alignment by lowering it and whatnot, but like, and wheels, but like, it does feel like it's very assisted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't have that same thing where like you were saying that there's this Honda did have this perfect balance between assisted and like not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, and where like maybe it was the weight of the car, you know, and the
Well, no,
balance.
'cause
and
I've
the
driven
weight
unassisted
but no, exactly,
Hondas.
and like they're not that bad.
Well, I've driven unassisted Hondas, and like
I guess Caveman's was pretty bad. I do
it
remember
really
driving.
wasn't though.
I remember driving Caveman's. Nah, because like even like, dude, I remember like Caveman being like,
Yeah, when you stopped as soon as you got
Right.
rolling at all, but that's like inherent with all.
oh,
Manual
I guess
cars.
yeah. I guess the true test is like when it's driving.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. Like, damn, how did Honda do that? How did
I don't
Honda like make it like feel good while you're driving and then like better when you stopped?
It's magic. They work their magic.
Honda.
And again, I've driven like 90s Toyota is nothing to sleep on. 90s Nissan, 90s Mitsubishi, all of them. I've driven examples. Like I haven't driven like, you know, Concours Edition, like 3000 GT VR4 or anything crazy like that. But I've driven cars from that era. And from Honda, I've driven their base model commuter cars. And Honda always did it better.
Yeah.
They always did
Yeah.
it better. Honda will always have a special spot. Like,
Dude, I know, and it's crazy, and like it's
and it's so disappointing what
crazy.
they've turned into.
exactly, and that's what I was gonna say. It's crazy that they stopped. It's crazy that hasn't
They had lightning in a bottle.
It's regressed.
Yeah, they had lightning in a bottle and they let it out.
Yeah. Damn. Doesn't it seem easy, like, for someone to recreate that?
I mean, look, if I was to build a car brand right now, I would find a
You'd
way
be
to
finding
adapt
old
Honda
pumps.
racks, Honda racks to whatever. I don't care if it costs me half a mile per gallon. You're getting a Honda hydraulic rack, and you're gonna love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think good still sells.
I think it could.
I think it's to your point. Went black. I think to your point, it's not that it's like something works. It's about like something being miles per gallon, which is why it never went back to what it was, and it can never be what it was because we're just playing with a whole new set of rules, which means we have to play with a whole new set of tools.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, like,
equipment.
here's
we
my
can't go
aspect
back
on
to
it.
where it was good.
Yeah, here's my aspect on it. Like, if you were to, I don't want to say get rid of, but if you were to discount like the cafe standards that make this like need to be as absolutely efficient as possible to the detriment of everything else. If you discount those for just a minute here, when it comes to like making a car that appeals to the average consumer and the enthusiast, right? Like for me, I don't like cars that completely isolate me from the road.
Yeah.
But the average consumer who just wants to get from A to B with as little bother as possible, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But you can cheat in a couple places. One of those, I think, would be steering feel. Like if you were to put a Honda hydraulic rack in a brand new car, the average consumer wouldn't notice, but the enthusiast would. Because the Honda rack worked fine. It wasn't hard to turn at all at like low speeds. It wasn't twitchy or anything crazy at high speed.
No, but it been the same thing with you saying that you felt poop. I think people don't want to feel poop, and they don't want to feel bumps.
I think it's one of
They
those
don't want to
things.
feel bumps in the steering wheel.
No, if the suspension is good enough and the noise isolation is good enough, I don't think they'd care. I don't think they'd notice. They're not paying attention. They're on their fucking phone. They're not going to notice if their hand goes slightly.
No, I think that they will.
I really don't. We're talking about the same class of people that is on their phone, not paying attention. They don't notice the lights change. They don't notice the guy in front of them has stopped. Or if they do notice that they're making a left and it's not clear, they'll stop in the middle of the road instead of trying to get out of the way. They won't fucking notice that there's a bit more steering feel. As long as the suspension is compliant and the noise canceling, like the noise isolation, the sound deadening. That's what I'm looking for.
So you could make an argument that's saying that, like, even with
You can sneak a couple things in there for people like you and me that the average person won't even notice, but we would appreciate.
So I wonder. I have no idea, but I wonder what like the new GR86 and like the new.
Oh well, that's 100% an enthusiast car. So they do what they can to dial that back into it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I wonder if this is like as we're talking about it, it's already happening. You know what I mean? Because there's a GR86. Because
I don't
all
think
I'm
so
saying
because
you don't think
the
those cars
the
are-
GR86 still has electric steering. So
but you don't think that they're working that back in. I mean, obviously, again, it's not.
it takes effort to get that feel back into an electric rack. Mm-hmm. It like takes actual concerted effort.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I wonder if that
like-
car or even like the new Nissan Z, which I'm kind of a big fan of, or
I do
even the,
like
the
what they did
Supra.
with that.
Yeah, they did really good. Yeah, and dude, we talked a lot about the Supra, and then I saw with the hood up. Have you seen it with the hood up? Mm-hmm. And the wheel is exposed, the top of the wheel. Dog, that's kind of fire that it does that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had that back in the C4 Corvette. So
I know, yeah, but I don't know. It just made it cooler for me. It just kind of made it more of like ooh, maybe I do want one.
no, I was just gonna say I saw one like 2 days ago. Still don't like it.
Do engine bay.
That's what
Yeah. Wrong.
What exposed wheels?
Maybe I saw a race car.
You're a liar. But hey, let's
So,
go
I
back
think-
to an earlier conversation. We've got plastic cover, and then we've got 2J.
Yeah.
So much better looking. I know this isn't factory, but
But even factory,
like it's just
it looked cooler.
like that. That's a stock valve cover right there,
Yeah.
and it looks so much cooler.
Yeah.
And again, gross and beautiful.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry, I don't like the new Supra.
Yeah,
I
I
have
think
yet to see an angle that makes me go, you know what, that is pretty tight.
Yeah. I think the one that I saw was a race car. It was a race car, but I just kind of figured that the wheel wells were open.
Oh God, I can't type. C4 Corvette.
Yeah. so
There's your
that's-
exposed
that's
wheels.
sick.
And I always love these spindly little forged like aluminum control arms. Like
Yeah.
that is race car shit right there.
Yeah.
It's a shame the rest of the C4 Corvette kind of.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what it was that I saw, but it definitely was a race car. It was like a drift car.
It was probably right.
Yeah.
They tubed the front end on that thing.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. And then like, I'd be interested to see how much plastic it is over top of it, or if it's actually like a metal wheel well. But I don't know what I saw. But all right, less cool now. Now it's
Yeah,
not as
back into the man.
But either
the new
way,
Supra
there's-
is just really not that cool.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and also with like the new like BMW engine, they're using the B58 and that, and
I don't even care about that.
people. Well, no, I'm not mad about
I've
it.
said
I'm
my
just
piece on
I'm
why
just saying
I
that
don't
like
the new Supra.
I don't even think that, but I'm just saying that like I don't mind it. I think it's cool. I'm just saying that like I'm all about engine swaps,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So like you hear about a Toyota putting a BMW engine in, swapping it before you get it. I'm down. Is it fast? Fuck yeah, let's go. Yeah. So I'm cool with it.
I do remember back when they first like when the new Supra was still like new, that the was it the president of Toyota himself, someone high up at Toyota, I forget who, was saying that they were saying without saying that, you know, you could easily engine swap the new Supra. They were saying that the 2J does fit in the engine bay of the 4-cylinder Supra. So, you know,
You could revive.
it was
You
just
could
like,
bring
you know,
it back
if you're gonna
to its
swap,
roots.
if you're gonna swap the engine, save your money, get the 4-cylinder,
And
and
put
throw
it to
whatever you want in there.
Yeah. And we're not saying what, but 2J fits. Yeah.
It was something like that. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was a 2J or but he was definitely hinting at like, you know, things fitting under the hood of
Yeah.
this.
Well, hey man, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
So I'm fucking here for it.
But yeah, I've said my piece on the new Supra, and you know, when it comes to reviving legendary nameplates, how you should really pick up where the legend started.
Yeah.
So like, you know, again with Honda bringing back the Integra, I'm not saying the Integra is a bad car. I'm sure it's a fine car. You know,
NSX as
Civic,
well.
The Civic Type R is great. Like I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah.
And the Integra Type S is a Civic Type R. It just is.
Yeah.
Different body panels. That's not the problem. That's not why people hate it.
Yeah.
They hate it because when you say Integra, they think of the DC4, the DC2.
Mm-hmm.
That is the iconic Integra. They don't think of the 4-door Integra that's just a prettied up Civic. Yeah, we understand it was always a prettied up Civic. But when you say Integra, a certain image comes to mind. When you say Supra, you think of the Mark IV.
Yeah. Like the people who want an actual Integra don't want a TSX.
Yeah.
Like
Or the ILX specifically was like,
fine, but if you like really looked at it as in like the car that came with the same engine that had the Civic had,
yeah.
like a couple generations, whatever that generation was, where the TSX had the same engine that you could get in an Accord, same engine you could get in a Civic. It was
Yeah.
like, hey, no, we're
No,
done.
that's not what we're talking
done
about.
here.
We were talking about the DC2
Yeah,
with the B18B.
Yeah.
Or,
We
I mean,
want this-
B18C.
2-door hatchback, fast as shit.
Bug eyes.
Is bug eyes. We want like it,
Or throwback to the JDM front end.
Ooh, see, an homage to the JDM front end would have been a good play. And like, why is that not even on the table?
Yeah.
How is that not even on the table?
Yep.
And then also the NSX, which I wanted to bring up because they're bringing back the NSX, but it looks like a fucking supercar.
It looks like an Audi R8.
Yeah, an Audi R8, or like even like sharing kind of body lines of like the McLaren in a certain way, or like just supercar-esque. They all kind of had the same body shape, and like no one's asking.
They
for
missed
that.
the boat on
Nobody's
that one
asking
because the
for
original NSX's mission from the get-go was the driving experience. It wasn't to be the fastest.
Here's my pitch on this: is that like what happened when Lexus went out and tried to make a supercar? The LFA, one of the greatest pieces of machinery
That was a
that's
commercial
ever
failure.
been made. I mean, it is a masterpiece of a car, completely over-engineered in the greatest of ways, which made it overpriced and under.
It was underappreciated. At its time.
Underappreciated, but also like you actually didn't get a lot for it. If you looked at it on paper,
They spent so long trying to figure out how to make it that by the time it
Perfect.
came out, the transmission was horrendously outdated. It was a single clutch automated manual.
yeah.
When dual clutches were coming into their prime.
But still, it still was a good car. I mean, it's
Oh, yeah, and
amazing
it's
to
absolutely
drive.
legendary
It's one of the
now.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest pieces of machinery you could ever buy. But if you were to buy one, it's so overly priced for what you're getting, it didn't make sense, especially power-wise. And on top of all of that, you spent that much money.
I mean, the same
on
argument could have been.
Hang on, you spent that much money on a Lexus.
The same argument could
Nobody
be made for the Ford
cares.
GT.
120%, which is why when the Ford GT came out, like it really wasn't that much in comparison to all the other cars.
No, it was expensive. It was like $200,000, bro.
Compared to a Lamborghini, it was not
Which
even
was
close.
180,
Nah.
200,000.
I would love to see the numbers because I'm pretty positive.
hang on. Let's
that
see.
it was a very
I'm talking about
undervalued
the
car.
The old.
It's expensive.
200.
It's
I'm
expensive
talking about the
now.
old Ford GT, the 2005. By the way,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to clarify
yeah,
that.
Ford
I
GT.
think we're on the same page. For the
2005
audience, we're talking about
supercharged
yeah.
4.6. Yeah.
2005.
That car when it came out, like today, it's expensive. When it came out, it was pretty cheap.
Where's the MSRP? Okay, I was wrong. $140,000.
Yeah, exactly. So when it came out, that was a very cheap car.
150,000.
For a
150,000. Yeah.
You bought a race car.
2005. Hang
yeah,
on.
2005.
How much was the 2005 Murcielago?
Yeah, it's a great example. Double the price. It literally set it up there.
300.
300.
It was not that much.
Yeah,
No, they were like
329,000.
200,000. I read DuPont Registry.
Well, I mean, supercars also
Okay, yeah, so I
fluctuate
stand corrected.
crazy in
But still,
price.
like at the same time, like over $100,000 for a Ford, people were like, "No
Yes,
way!"
yeah,
and
but you're
now
right.
it's $1 million
You're
car.
right. Yeah, exactly. You're right. So like in that same way, people looked at Lexus LFA,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Who's going to pay $500,000 for a Lexus?" And then the same way
And
with a Ford,
And
who's
that was
going to
a
pay?
Ford?
Yeah.
Not even a Lincoln.
Yeah, exactly. Who the hell is going to pay
$150,000 for a
150
Lincoln
plus? I'm
Or, I mean,
sure
for a Ford.
taxes and
Yeah.
and like retail when you buy it from a dealer. There's probably only like 6 of them on the lot, in your area. So you probably paid a lot more. But still, who's going to pay 150 plus for a Ford?
And
But but if you were going to buy a supercar, it's like the Ford. That's why my only standing on that was like at the time, like to buy a Ford GT, it was like, well, if you're going to buy one, horsepower, per dollar, it's like that made sense. But like for the
what's
LFA,
crazy, they made like what, 550?
you could buy four GTs for the same price you bought one LFA.
Yeah.
The
LFA was
It just
expensive.
didn't work. Yeah. So, so I just, to battle back, I look at Honda making the NSX, or Acura making the NSX, and going like, hey, we're going to make it a supercar, and it's going to be, $300,000. It's like, or $200,000.
That's not even. But that's not even out of character.
No one's going to pay
It's not
that
even
much
out of
money
character
for a
for.
Lexus.
It wasn't even Acura.
Fuck. An Acura. No one's going to pay
But no, but that
$250,000
wasn't out
for
of
an NSX.
character for the original mission and view of the NSX. The original NSX was the Ferrari killer.
But it was cheap.
I don't think it was.
MSRP.
It might have been
look it up.
cheaper than
It
the
was
Ferrari, but
very
it was.
cheap.
It might have been cheaper than the Ferrari, but it was still not like attainable for the average Joe.
No, it was a cool car, but it was in the same realm that like it was happening for.
What year did the NSX come out? 1990.
I think the first one, I guess.
Round.
Yeah,
Around 60. Okay.
$1,000.
1990. Not the F40.
Yeah, that's not fair. But like
348.
maybe. Let's see what a three. Dude, I don't know my Ferraris like that.
Neither do I.
Oh, but that's kind of comparable.
Wow.
Or
Why is
that-
it hard
that
to find
first-
the
that first
original
drop
MSRP?
In 1990, double, literally double. You could buy two NSXs for the same price of a Ferrari.
1985 was 85,000.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, there's a market for people who didn't want to spend that money, but like what you're saying is that there's that people who are in the middle of the market of like not spending a lot of money, they don't exist. that market
Hang on.
is just not
what
available.
What year did the Acura NSX come out? Did the new one come out? 2016.
To anyone who's just listening, we are cooking, so please follow along. We are pricing.
I want to see if Acura priced themselves out of the market. 157.
R8. So now we're going to R8 prices. Let's just give them the wow.
Cheaper than an NSX.
But
Is that the V10?
But here, I'll give you this. If you ask any car enthusiast, and like no offense to anybody who's got a fast ass fucking R8, because it's literally a Lamborghini engine and you can make them fast as fuck. But anybody who's got an R8, it's like gay. It's dude, like
Okay.
any like real car
the
enthusiast.
V10 R8 was 200,000.
Yeah. Which that makes sense. So like the legit one, which would have, again, that would have
No one wanted the V8.
no.
Like the V8 came out first, but as soon as the V10 came out, they were like, "Give me that."
Yeah, because those are the ones that you can make fast.
Well, they were just fast.
Well, they're the Lamborghini engines that people twin turbo and make 2,000 horsepower, kind of fast.
Yes.
So the V8s are cool and they're fast, and you have a supercar and it sounds fun. But like the V10 is where you're like, yo, this is an exotic.
Yeah.
And then like the real horsepower came.
So
and people started becoming interested in
the
them.
NSX sat
But, like-
between the R8 V8 and the R8 V10 in terms of price,
Yeah.
and they made like 500 horsepower, so that was their performance was closer to the V10 than the V8. However,
I don't think so, dude.
What-
Look up that power. I bet you the I bet you the NSX is far closer to the V8. But either way, I do want to also just reference that the
423.
yeah, so it was closer. There's no way.
549, and now we need the 2016 NSX. Well, yeah, you could just give us 573. So closer to the V8.
Oh,
I mean the
you're
V10,
right.
the V10,
The V10.
and
Yeah,
it was
you're right.
cheaper than the V10.
Yeah.
So
But the problem is, just like I was saying, is that like it was a V10 that everyone was familiar with because it's been in the Lamborghini.
And this is a
for
hybrid
years.
that you cannot crack, you cannot touch, you cannot
Yeah.
tune. But most supercar buyers, when they're buying them brand
Yeah,
new,
you're
do
right.
not care about that.
Yeah, you're right.
But what I was going to say, before we tanged off on all of this shit, was the original NSX's mission statement was literally just the driving experience. They gave it enough power when it first came out to be competitive with like the Ferraris of the time, pushing 300 horsepower. It was 276, but the Ferraris weren't making much more than that at the time, unless you got the balls to the wall F40. The regular Ferraris were around 300, I want to say. But the Honda would outhandle them, and it was reliable and wasn't fussy. That was its biggest claim to fame. And beyond just outhandling them, it was an absolute joy to drive. It was just as much about the experience as the capability. The new NSX was capable. It had good torque vectoring with its hybrid system and all that shit. It was, on paper, capable. It was numb and it was dull to drive. So it failed on like 50% of the NSX's like mission statement.
This is my whole point. I love all that, but the problem is that like when you're dealing with, I mean, and again, it's really not that far away from the price of like the NSX was expensive, right? And the R8 was like almost the same price, like $200,000. So
$40,000 more.
Yeah, we're talking like $40,000 more to buy the Audi than it was to buy the Acura.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody bought the Audi.
Yeah, no.
And like you still see that today.
Acura was
There's so many people.
charging
The R8,
above its prestige.
R8 is the number one sports car that you see. Anybody who's out there, like if you're on the road today, at least in our area especially, and like you see a supercar, you're gonna see an Audi R8
A McLaren.
or maybe a
We have
McLaren.
dealer near us, but that's not fair.
And I'm gonna be so fully honest with you, those McLarens are rented. I promise you.
sure.
I promise you. But nobody's renting an R8. That's my thing.
They own
like,
it.
yeah, because like imagine like you being like, yeah, I'm gonna spend $5,000 for 2 days and I'm gonna go rent a supercar. They're like, what are you gonna pick? An R8? It's like, no, you're not.
You're
Like,
going to pick the McLaren.
You're gonna pick the McLaren. You're gonna pick like the highest, baddest shit. You know what I mean?
You're chasing clout.
Yeah.
Which, again,
So-
Acura doesn't have the clout
Exactly.
to command that price.
Yeah. And they don't, and if they're doing it again, if they're gonna bring the NSX
But the
back
whole
again,
reason...
it's
We got
wrong.
way the fuck off topic. We were
My
talking
point was the NSX is coming back.
again.
again.
We were talking about... Well, I was specifically talking about, like, where I stand on bringing back a legendary name, and I just threw the NSX in there because
Oh,
it missed
yeah.
the boat on picking up where the old NSX's legacy left off, and that was...
cheap, affordable sports car.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, but no.
Fuck you.
No.
Yes.
It was absolute fucking dream to drive. Not even,
And it still is.
No, it isn't. That thing is numb.
Is it?
It is
Oh,
capable.
I thought it was good. I thought it was just
Yeah, it's capable.
overpriced
It's
and underpowered.
capable.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't mean it's fun.
Yeah. But if they made it cheap, I feel like a lot of people would forget about that.
Maybe, but I'm a dying breed.
Yeah, I hear you.
You and me are a
I hear
dying
you.
breed.
I hear you.
Where we actually value the sensation that
Right.
comes with driving the car.
Right, right.
It's not just about the numbers. It's not just about going around turns. It's not just about straight line performance, horsepower, blah blah blah. And to tie into what you said about like slideshows and shit, they only care about like how much horsepower does it have,
Yeah.
how fast does it go in a straight line, highway
Right,
pulls,
right.
can I slide it?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't care if my car makes 80 horsepower. If it puts a smile on my face when I chuck it into a turn way faster than it has any business going,
Yeah.
that's what I care
It's
about.
experience that you're
It's
buying.
the experience.
Yeah.
That's what I care about.
100%.
That's why I like 90s Hondas
Yeah.
and why we'll always have a soft spot for them. Because so far, and I'm sure Honda's not the end all be all,
Like 90s any sports car.
but
Like
I
90s
haven't
Porsche.
driven any. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're still analog.
Yeah.
But like as far as attainability, like just like the odds of you getting the chance to get behind the wheel of one, I have yet to find anything that touches what Honda had to offer in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I agree. And this was honestly a fun way to get around to that.
Yeah. We've gone
We flushed
all
it out.
over the place.
Yeah, we
but,
flushed it out. I like it. We did good. Speaking of which, I think we did really good on this podcast.
yeah, no,
I think
you guys haven't seen it, but we were beforehand struggling to find like anything to talk about.
No, we weren't.
Well,
No.
we didn't want to be depressing. There's lots of bad shit to talk about.
Yeah, honestly, we were kind of fumbling for about an hour in front of the
The
sitting
pre-podcast podcast
right
was
here.
rough.
Yeah, sitting right here, trying to not talk about upsetting stuff in the world. And I think we did a
politics.
good job. Yeah, politics mostly. Yeah, but
And we're not gonna. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I think
'cause
we're at a
that
good
everybody's
place.
feed is so full. If you made it this far, here you go. Everyone's feed is so full of this stuff. Because like
Well, it's
whether
election
you
year.
like
It's gonna be a fucking shit
Yeah,
storm.
whether you like it or not, you've got some involvement in it. Somebody's pushing it into your algorithm. You don't need to hear us talking about it. Like clearly,
I'm sure you're sick of it. Absolutely sick of it by now.
And from what I've seen, it does not matter what your algorithm looks like. There's some things that are getting pushed, and it's time to do our own research, folks. Get off the internet. Get off Instagram.
Get on the internet and just start looking.
Get off
into shit.
Instagram. Get on the internet. Google some things, or better yet, DuckDuckGo some things.
DuckDuckGo or whatever other alternative browser, because
Yeah.
Google
But
is trying to make money. That's all you
do.
need
Some
to know.
good research. November's coming. We love you all. This has been a great podcast. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe.
Sorry if you don't like
do
car
things.
content.
I hope you like car content because that's what this was. If you made it this far, we love you. Comment and say, yo, I made it this far. Keith, Adrian, we loved it. And final comments.
God, I wish you
questions.
didn't do any of that.
Oh, yeah, you do. Come on, we're hyping it up. No one's going to make it this far. I'm hoping that I hope that it's like someone sees me do crazy shit at the end of these and they're like, what did you do back then? Because like I'll never know if someone makes it to the end. Unless like I just like pull my ass out. What do I do? Like get people to be like, what happened at the end? Like, oh,
Watch
you made
to
it?
see my asshole.
Yeah. Dude. Could be Patreon.
Yeah, the butthole stuff that's behind the paywall.
You gotta pay to see my butthole. You gotta pay for that. All right. Well, this has been fun, Adrian. We had a good time.
Until next time.
And until next time. Bye.
Baby, let me take you for a ride. It's crazy that we on the